Program is sponsored and produced by Let's Talk Hookup. Opinions and offers expressed during this program are not those of Odyssey or 97.3 The Fan. Sometimes they tell some pretty hefty fish stories. We don't know if they're true or not.
And now it's time for Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's Talk Hookup. For the next 2 hours, join Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, Corey Sandin, and this week's special expert guest for fishing information, new techniques to catch more fish, and the most current scoop on what's happening in the water. Let's Talk Hookup is sponsored in part by Royal Polaris, the world's finest long-range sports fisher. By Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup, and Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. Get ready for the fastest 2 hours on radio with the hosts of Let's Talk Hookup, Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, and Corey Sandin.
Good morning, anglers, and welcome to Let's Talk Hookup. I'm Pete Gray with Rock Cod Rick Maxa. We're in the world headquarters of Let's Talk Hookup here, right next to the San Diego landings in Point Loma. We have a great guest for you. Fresh off the water, Captain Aaron Barnhill. Aaron is a commercial albacore fisherman. He's a commercial bluefin fisherman. And, of course, a legendary sport boat captain running long-range trips for many, many years. We're going to have a great show. Stay tuned. Southern California's sport fishing voice is Let's Talk Hookup on the Let's Talk Hookup app, YouTube, Facebook Live, and 97.3 The Fan.
It's Cellathon, and it's back at your San Diego County Ford dealers this Memorial Day for 5 days only. Get limited time deals on top of employee pricing. That's right, on top of employee pricing, featuring Ford's award-winning lineup of trucks and SUVs. Plus, your San Diego County Ford dealers are honoring all military, veterans, and first responders with offers going on now. It's your chance to save, whether it's gas, hybrid, or all electric. Visit your local dealership to find the perfect vehicle for you during Ford's Memorial Day Cellathon. It's only for a limited time. Exclusions apply. Visit your local San Diego County Ford dealer today.
Hey, it's time for the 30-second PowerPro seminar. Here's the hot tip for those of us that like to fish with small reels for big fish. Fill your schools with PowerPro Max Quattro. It's 25% thinner than standard PowerPro. That means you're going to get more line on that small reel. Plus, you can fly line your bait more effectively. Here's another tip about PowerPro Max Quattro. Your casting distance will increase in addition to increasing your spool capacity. So downsize your tackle and use PowerPro Max Quattro. Check PowerPro.com for more information.
Inside information is everything when it comes to catching fish in Southern California. You need a code group to connect with what's happening on the water. FishDope.com is your code group. Inside information available at your fingertips 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. FishDope.com really does help you catch more fish and burn less fuel. FishDope.com is the only fish finding service with a spotter plane, along with a crew of top anglers on the water almost every day that report actual locations and catches. They become your code group. You get daily catch reports from Point Conception to San Quintin, 365 days a year. FishDope.com has online planning tools, temperature and chlorophyll charts, hot bite icons, and more. Take it from me, if you don't have FishDope.com, you're not part of the in-the-know crowd. Membership is affordable and good for an entire year. Plus, use the special code and save $30 on a new FishDope.com membership. Check it out today. FishDope.com. Catch more fish, burn less fuel.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. What a fun day today is going to be, man.
Yeah, it is.
Good having Aaron in here, but wearing a few different hats than the last time he was in here.
Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning, guys.
Great to have you. Of course, you've been running commercial boats for how long?
Since 2016.
2016. So that's when you came off the Shogun?
Yep.
Yeah. And do you miss it?
Yeah, I miss some aspects of it for sure. Yeah, I love the freedom of commercial fishing. You know, no timelines or anything like that. Just go out and fish till you catch them.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And you finished catching them, right? You just finished bluefin fishing.
We did. We finished 3 weeks ago or so. Finished the quota for bluefin, so we're all done for the year.
Wow.
So plenty of fish still out there.
Plenty. And okay, so you said there's more this year. You've seen more this year than last year.
Yes, especially that. Yeah, especially that like 40 to 80 pound fish. There's just an amazing amount of that fish around this year, which is, you know, obviously great for the future.
I like
big
that
fish.
size.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, that's good.
And we didn't touch any of that fish. All of our fish are, you know, 50 to 60 kilo and bigger. So we don't, you know, catch any fish under 100 pounds.
No kidding. You don't touch that.
So we don't touch any of the smaller fish. Yeah.
Why is that?
Basically, you have to feed them less to get them up to size to sell them. So.
And what's the goal when you guys? Okay, you're catching for the bluefin tuna pens like we see out at the Coronado Islands.
Yes.
Right. And are they still in Ensenada too, or
There is some pens in Ensenada. All of ours for our company are at South Coronado Island.
at South Coronado?
Yeah.
I was over there the other day. There's a lot of them over there.
We got a nice stock.
And
over there.
there is a
You had a
lot.
good year.
There are a lot of boats feeding those things too. It's a huge support system.
It
right?
is. It is.
Yeah.
There's divers and maintenance guys and biologists out there all the time, and it's a big operation.
So all that fish in there starts at 100 pounds plus.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
And how do you guys? How can you tell what that is? You know what I mean? Like I'm sure you have various ways of finding your fish. Like how do you know ahead of time? Like okay, this is 40 pounds and this is 100 pounds.
Basically the guy in the chopper
Okay.
sees it. Yeah. So a lot of times we'll find the school in the sonar, but we won't set until we can visually see that the fish are. And like this year we had 3 sets that was fish under 100 pounds, and we have a easy way to release them that doesn't damage the fish or anything like that. We open up the
Crazy.
net. And,
Really? So you can this one? Okay, this is borderline. We're gonna go for it. Put the net around them, get them up, and then get it side by side. And we're like, okay, this isn't what we're after.
yeah, we have the divers go in the water and check, and
Really?
yeah, sometimes you'll see a school and it looks like some bigger shiners
Sure.
in there, and you're like, all right, well, let's go for it. And then when the net comes up, you're we gotta let them go. But that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Part of fishing.
Yep.
So is there ever a time where you catch rapid school that's too big?
No, luckily our nets are able to, like, one of the sets this year was over 600 tons. So we
But I mean the fish being
the
too
fish
big.
no the fish will keep bigger fish for sure. It's
Yeah.
just we like that mid 100 size fish just because of shipping.
Yeah.
Once they get like well over 200 pounds, they get so round. Like a box that could take 3 smaller fish could only fit
Oh.
1. So that's why we like that size fish.
And all this fish goes over to Japan.
No, actually 75% of the fish now is sold here in the U.S. and Mexico.
No
Really?
kidding.
I wouldn't have
Yeah.
thought that.
Wow. As whole fish.
As whole
As
fish.
fresh.
As gill and gut fish. Yeah.
Interesting. And goes to various sushi markets and various fresh markets.
Exactly. Yep.
75%.
Yeah, we've kind of switched over from that. It's, obviously less shipping costs than going over to Japan,
Sure.
and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
we just still do have a one market over there, and we're trying to expand, and go where else. But obviously, it's been better for us, just shipping right to U.S. and Mexico.
Cool.
Yeah. Ted Dunn, who used to do what you did, and he's retired now, and kind of your mentor, right?
Oh yeah, big
Yeah.
time.
Set me up to go visit Toyosu Fish Market in Tokyo
That's
with
awesome.
his guy over there, his buyer. And that was one of the great experiences of my life, to sit there with the boots on, my wife and I walking the Toyosu, watching the market and how it goes on and stuff like that. They eat a lot of fish over there.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they're not getting it as much from you guys, where are they getting theirs now?
I'm not sure. They do have a fishery over there. They
Yeah.
actually have way more quota over on that side than we do over here. So they're fishing it. A lot of Southeast Asian countries fish it as well. So they're probably getting it from over there.
But still, 25% of your take is a lot of fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
A lot of fish for sure. So now you switch gears and go albacore fishing.
Yeah, we're gonna be leaving here in about a month or so. So just doing maintenance on the boats right now, and we leave here and go make some bait, probably in Ventura or Santa Cruz, and then just go start looking. Until we find them.
When is like departure time? Like when will that start for you guys?
We try and aim to leave right after Father's Day,
Okay.
sometime between there and the 4th of July.
Yeah,
So
right.
just be on the water. It's a little cooler water year this year, so we're not in that big of a rush, but.
Any like prospects from the guys that already start up that way? Is anybody look like?
We haven't heard anything.
What's the group chat feel like these days?
We usually got a little, there is a body of albacore that hangs out west of here most of the year. The longliners get something like that. I haven't really heard anything lately, but so we do get fish that comes all the way across, the Pacific, but there is, population of albacore that's hanging out west. We're just hoping one of these years it pokes its nose back in here.
Yeah.
We can kind of unload in Pedro and be closer to home.
Is this the year?
I sure hope so.
And do you know about Pete and his albacore predictions?
No.
We just predicted every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it happens
So
sometime,
there
right?
you
At
go.
some point.
You're going to be
you
right
gotta
think-
eventually.
So
We call it
what's
the
that
Tommy
gonna
Rothry-
take?
We call it the Tommy Rothry method.
Yeah.
Pete predicts them. Everybody's quit.
That was Tommy original.
Yeah, nobody in their right mind says, "Oh yeah, this is the year for albacore again," except for Pete. He's the last man standing. So when it happens, he'll be the one that was
See,
right.
I told you.
Yeah.
For the last 40 years,
Yeah, that's
right? What is it going to take for us to see albacore this year?
We've had decent conditions, especially on the Central Coast. When we're driving back down, there's just acres of anchovies and birds and everything. It's just whatever current. They're kind of taking the outside route going up and usually coming in around Mendocino Ridge. So just getting that right current to push in here. And there's really good push of water right now outside Channel Islands. Which is like it goes southwest out to where they're at, and I mean maybe this is the year they're going to follow that water in, but for whatever reason, they've been out like in the 130 longitudes.
How far off the beach is that?
That's probably from here about 400 miles. Yeah, and so then they've just been, going north on those longitudes and then cutting in once they get higher up. So,
but if there's this water push,
it could be
they just
there.
follow the water temperature. Is that what it is?
Yeah, usually like if you look at those NOAA sea surface charts, the first wave of albacore is usually on the 15 Celsius line. So, and they'll be hanging on that, which right now out in the 130s is, about conception latitude, I think. So usually hang on that. And then every like Celsius time, we get another wave of fish. But that first wave of fish is like that fish that goes up into Canada. It likes that cooler water. So we'll stay with that.
Wow. Pretty well. What do you like fishing better? Bluefin or albacore?
That's a tough choice. I'd say albacore is probably less stressful, and a little more fun. Hanging out with your buddies, talking on the radio, and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, bluefin's super exciting, and I love just the hunt to try and find those fish.
Yeah, and you're driving the boat, right?
Yeah, well, there's three of us fishing. There's two fishing captains, myself and the guy on the chopper, and then there's like the actual licensed captain on there. So we're all kind of driving around or whatever. But
yeah. And so the chopper finds. So when you're hunting bluefin, the chopper finds the school first.
Well, we have spotter plane too. Sometimes they find it.
Tom Green, Adrian.
Tom's retired, so it's Adrian now. And then and then a lot of times it's we'll find a school on the sonar. We just pull out of gear and wait, and then get the chopper over and take a look, or help get the chopper in the air and kind of work the school until we can see what size it is and how much fish is there and all that.
Wow.
So,
and then what?
And then we got to get lined up. That's the hard part is you have to get lined. You have to be going the same direction as the fish. You have to stay away from it. If you get too close to the fish and let the skiff over, it'll turn and you'll miss it. There's a lot of variables there. Even though we have a big net and everything, we miss quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah. We were like probably 60%. Okay. Yeah, this year. Other years we're 80 or 90%, but the fish get smarter every year.
Is it possible to do without like the aerial part of it? You know what I mean? Like
it is possible to do, just with sonar and stuff like that. But I mean, it's a lot more.
So many variables.
Yeah, and a lot more efficient. On the sonar, it takes you a minute to see if the fish change directions, whereas the guy on the chopper can see it instantly when those heads and tails turn, and you're like, and then you can adjust course from there.
Cool. And how big is the net that
the cork line's 1,900 meters long?
1,900 meters.
Yeah.
Whew. That's a big net.
That's a big net.
That's a lot of
it'll stretched out, it'll touch bottom in like 120 fathoms, but we cupped the net when we set, so it's the rings are about 95 fathoms. You have like net sensors on there. About 95 fathoms is how deep the bottom of the net is most of the time.
Wow. So you so you have these fish in the net now.
Mm-hmm.
Determine that these are fish you want to keep. Mm-hmm. Then what happens?
Then we have a pen come over. So we have collapsible pens so they can travel faster. Then they put the net inside the pen, get it ready, and then we have a door on our net on the bow section and a door on the pen. So we kind of mesh them together, tie them together. And then we start sacking up the net, and eventually with the divers in the water, they get the fish to cross into the pen. So
your net's pulled up into a purse, and you start pushing them into the pen. That's
exactly. We square the net off. We have small skiffs. We square it off, get it all right. Mesh the pen up against it, and then we start rolling that and get that that area where that fish is tighter and tighter and tighter, and eventually they'll squirt into the pen.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Yeah, amazing operation.
It is.
Versus when you're fishing albacore, you're just lining, right? It's just line.
Yeah.
Hook and line.
Yep, we're jigging in the beginning. So like June, July into August, will be jigging, just trolling. Normal zookers and everything you'd use.
That's still so crazy.
Yeah, and then once that up there, the offshore anchovy is just in larval stage. Early on in the season, and sometime in August it gets color and it starts to form bait balls, And so that's when we'll switch over to actual bait fishing with the poles and stuff like that.
What's the better production when they're on the poles or
Oh, for 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because you
100%.
can get on them and just start raining them aboard.
Exactly. Yeah.
It still blows me away that fishery is so caught one fish at a time, and especially you getting to participate on both sides of it. It's just crazy to think that all of that albacore is still caught that way.
It is. Yeah. And yeah, one by one, no bycatch.
Yeah, totally clean.
Yep,
That's
totally
cool.
clean fishery.
Average size is
I'd say about 14 pounds
okay.
over the course of the season.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good size for what you want.
yeah, it's good. You start getting those big ones over 20 pounds, you tear too many off. They got, albacore real soft mouths. So, yeah, like 14 to 12 to 17 pounds is where we like it, that fish. So,
how do you guys keep the fish? I mean, again, you've seen all aspects. Grew up putting fish in a gunny sack and then spray brines and blast free and all these things, and into now, with bluefin fishing, you just keep in the water. Like, you've seen all parts of it. How do you guys keep the albacore?
We have our main fish hold hatch is 15 ton. That's just spray brine. And then all of our wells are RSW. So we keep the fish in there till we fill the well at 32 degrees, just like you would normally like on a sport boat. But once we get a full pump down, add salt, and then freeze them that way they're, nice and round and in a flooded brine solution.
Got it.
Yeah, pretty amazing. So pretty diverse, the two different types of fishing that you're doing. It must be keep life interesting then.
Yeah, no, it does for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Now, you actually own the Albacore boats, right? That's your operation.
Yes.
And you're actually employed by
I'm just an employee down in Mexico.
in Mexico.
Yeah, for Baja Aqua Farms.
But that's the company that owns it.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. And then that's a Mexican corporation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And how big is that business? How many boats, how many people, employees and stuff like that? It's big, right?
We have a lot of employees, over 100 employees. We have 2 boats, seiners that we own, tuna seiners, and then I think it's up to 5 sardine seiners now. So we actually bought some king crab boats, like those Marcos, same ones that the Northwestern is.
Really?
I'm converting those to seiners. So it seems like, with this colder water, the stock of sardines is sliding south, as it is. So we wanted some a little bit bigger boats to make that trip worth it, going down where we need to go catch. So
trip. And those boats, by design, are meant to have big giant wells and a lot of water on board. And so they convert into something that'll keep bait alive just fine.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah. So actually we RSW those sardines. So so they're dead. And then
I guess I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
It's not you don't need to put a hook into it.
No. So
Keep it fresh.
RSW and bring them back at 32 degrees. And then they either pump them off to a storage ship or they just go right into the pens.
Wow, that's cool.
Weird.
It's cool.
Just amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And so they're just like, I've been to Coronado Island and seen them feed them. They're just like taking a big manure shovel and just shoveling that stuff in.
Yeah,
right?
they're actually pumping now.
Oh, they're pumping.
Yeah. So it, just add some more seawater into the well and they just pump it out. Same kind of pump that you pump it on. So then they have hoses that go to each one. So they've tried different methods, but that's
But it's dead bait that they're feeding on because you don't want them to work.
Yeah,
right?
You just want them to. You don't want them to
didn't think about that either. Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
want them chasing it down.
Yeah, you don't want to get a keyed on anything live either because that'll switch. You just want
Oh.
them eating dead bait.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they do it fine.
Yep, they do it fine. So they don't eat for about 2 to 3 weeks after we catch them. But then once they get hungry enough, they start eating that dead bait, and that's what they like then.
So is it just that they're so freaked out they don't want to eat for a couple of weeks?
I'm not sure. I mean, you watch them in the net, and they're just chill. Even after
Doing
a
their
couple
thing.
hours, they just go into their routine. And they're fine. I don't know. It's probably the stress on them or something. Well, they don't eat for a couple weeks, and then once they get hungry, then
All of a sudden,
bring
it.
Yep, exactly.
And how much do they feed?
It's about for weight wise about 8% of what's in the pen. They feed that per day.
Per day.
Yeah,
So how many ton in the pen?
about 100.
100 ton in each pen.
Yep.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a lot of sardine.
That's a lot of
Yeah.
sardines. Yeah.
Do you feed chovy too, or just
Yeah, we
straight
feed
sardine?
larger chovy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially now, there's so much anchovy around. It's mind-boggling, really. So we've been feeding them that larger. It's got to be that bigger anchovy. The smaller ones doesn't have much fat in it or anything like that. So
Great. Well, as you can hear, we have a great show lined up for today. A lot to talk about with Captain Aaron Barnhill.
Yeah, and as you could imagine, boy, the texts have already been flowing through since before the show. The phones are packed up. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun having a great bud in the studio this morning. If you want to join us, man, we want to hear from you. Give us a call. Jeff is standing by at the fan. 833-288-0973 is how you reach us here on Let's Talk Hookup. Again, 833-288-0973, or send us a text. The show has become so popular here on Let's Talk Hookup, and the only way to do that is through the Let's Talk Hookup app. It's a free download. It's the easiest way to send in your questions to Captain Aaron this morning, or if you want to listen to all the archive shows, all the past information, it's all available via the Let's Talk Hookup app. When you do send in your text, make sure you include your contact info. Just a name and a phone number is all we need, because if you win the big prize at the end of the show, we want to make sure to get it to you. And man, are we giving away a cool prize for one lucky caller or texter at the end of the show. Somebody's going to get a brand new pair of Costa sunglasses. This time it's the Reefton Pro with that gray silver mirror lens. Yeah, a great pair. 580 glass. Yeah, just awesome. Beautiful. Awesome pair of shades from Costa.
On Facebook or YouTube. It's a very popular one.
One of our most at the shop for sure. And yeah, again, if you want to get your shot, 833-288-0973 is how you get us on the phones, or send us a text via that Let's Talk Hookup app. And when we come back, we're going to be taking your phone calls, reading those texts. We got great catch reports coming up and a whole lot more. You stay tuned. You're listening to Southern California's sport fishing voice. It's Let's Talk Hookup on the Let's Talk Hookup app, Facebook and YouTube Live at 97.3 The Fan.
Haida Gwaii Safaris, formerly Queen Charlotte Safaris, invites you to experience the magic of Haida Gwaii Islands, British Columbia, Canada. Hi, I'm Valerie Hoprich. 25 years ago, I fell in love with these incredible islands, the breathtaking scenery, the warm community, and the truly phenomenal fishing. That passion inspired me to open my own fishing lodge, just steps from the Sandspit Harbor at Haida Gwaii Safaris. You will be fishing in pristine, unpressured waters for Chinook, king salmon, halibut, lingcod, and much more. Plus, be surrounded by untouched beauty. We pride ourselves on creating an unforgettable adventure that turns first-time guests into lifetime friends. You will come for the fishing, and you will come back for the memories. We are booking now. Call us at 1-877-815-2892 or visit our website, qcsafaris.com. Find us on Facebook and Instagram. Haida Gwaii Safaris, where adventure and friendship meet.
This is Captain Tim Ekstrom from the long-range vessel Royal Star. With my partners Randy Toussaint and Brian Sims, we have set the bar for the long-range fishing experience. Spring 8-day, summer 5-day, or fly-down, fly-back 11-day winter trip, we deliver the highest quality long-range voyage you will find. From our premium RSW fish storage to our top-of-the-line chefs and crew, Royal Star distinguishes itself from all others. Want to grab a spot on the Royal Star? Check us out at royalstarsportfishing.com or call Tracy at 619-224-4764.
The fish are biting and it's time to go. Hi, this is Ben, and you will see me at my dad's shop, Dana Landing in Mission Bay, or maybe in front of the shop on my kayak. It doesn't matter if you are out there on a kayak with me, on your boat, headed out on a sport boat. Dana Landing has everything you need. We call it the one-stop shop for a great day on the water because it truly is. Food, bait, tackle, beverages, and more. Our tackle shop, headed by John, is certainly one of the best. For freshwater tackle, nothing beats East County Bait and Tackle. These guys have the best rods and reels and the hottest lures and live bait. Our newest shop is Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle, with a great stock of both fresh and saltwater tackle right in the heart of Lemon Grove. ECBT is at the end of the 67 freeway on Mapleview and Lakeside. Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle, 94 to Broadway in Lemon Grove, and Dana Landing is next to the Dana Lawn Tramp in Mission Bay. Check out danalanding.com for more details.
Sport fishing, not just for dad anymore, thanks to the Dana Wharf's Kids Club. Dana Wharf Sport Fishing invites all anglers 12 and under to join the Kids Club today. Membership includes over $100 of really cool stuff, like 2 free fishing trips, whale watch trip, as well as a free Dana Wharf Kids Club hat or t-shirt. Log on to the website, danawharf.com, or visit them in Dana Point Harbor, the bass capital of the West, and only minutes from the 5 freeway in Orange County.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. How fun was that? Just right off the bat, man. This is going to be a lot of fun having Aaron here talking fishing and something that's just different. You know, we talk so much about Aaron's previous career, catching them the way we all do now. And I know you still love and do that, but what a cool deal to get to hear about the other side of it. I'm just pumped on today. It'll be a
it's
very
so
fun
good.
show.
Yeah, for sure. We had a little issue with our app this morning at the start. All good now. It's back up. YouTube, Facebook Live, it's good. And, of course, 97.3 The Fan. Full speed ahead with that. And great to welcome Kyle aboard on Saturdays, too.
Oh, my bad, Kyle.
Yeah,
I
Jeff's.
just said Jeff. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Jeff is taking Saturdays off now. He's going to work Sundays, and
All
Kyle's the man on Saturday. And welcome, Kyle. Great to have you on the board. So if you're calling our number there, 833-288-0973, Kyle's going to pick up your phone today.
There it is.
Speaking of which, let's jump into the phone.
You got it, man. Well, they are packed solid. Everybody's excited to talk to Aaron. Why don't we start it off this morning with Bob, who's calling us from Dana Point this morning. Good morning, Bob. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Aaron, I wonder if you remember, I've fished with you on the Royal Polaris.
Oh, yeah, I remember you, Bob. How you doing?
How could forget Bob, right?
Yeah, everyone knows Bob.
Wolfman.
Yeah.
One trip on, I think it was Tackle Days in 2016, we were going to go to Guadalupe, and we went down there, checked in, and you turned the boat. We went up towards the Cortez, and in the morning you put down your sonar and you shut the boat down, and we started catching tuna from 50 to 120 until dark, and we went up another 20, 30 miles, and next day we started catching some real fish, and I got a 246 on 80-pound test line and on bait, and it was on a Talica 20, and but anyway, I wonder if you remember that trip.
Oh, absolutely. I was running a relief trip for Renee, and it was definitely rolling the dice. It was supposed to be a Guadalupe trip, but the weather was nice and conditions were right out there at Cortez, and I was like, let's do it, and it ended up working out really well.
How many sideways looks do you think there were when everybody's like in their mind, okay, this is where we're going, and we're going to go to Guadalupe, and that's on their head, and then you turned right instead of going straight?
Yeah, exactly. It worked out. It was only
That's
like
cool.
10 or 15 fish a day at Guadalupe, so I was like, this is the time to do it, and luckily it worked out. So
that sounds like a lot of
we
big
actually
ones.
had a couple big eye that first day, if you remember that, Bob.
That's cool. Now, when you're wrapping bluefin, do you ever see big eye?
No, we don't. A little bit of yellowfin, and that's it. Yeah,
pretty straight bluefin.
Straight bluefin. Obviously we watch the schools. We can't have any porpoise interaction or any whale interaction. Like, that's MSC certified fishery, so we have to be very sure that that's what we're putting in the net.
Yeah. So when you're seeing the bluefin, is most of it north of Cedros, or is it all over the place?
This year we actually is the first year I've fished below Cedros. So the year before last we were west in Natividad for a little bit. But yeah, this year we're off Assumption, had really good fishing, and then that fish just kept sliding. We don't sliding down. So that fish went all the way down Uncle Sam and out on the ridge, and there was a couple of yellowfin seiners at Theta seeing big schools of bluefin. That fish really went down. There's only like 63-degree water down there, and lots of bait. So we can't tow. We don't like to tow the fish that far if we don't have to. So we had to wait, and we finally got on some fish above Cedros. Seems like that 29-116 cross just above Cedros is like our stock zone, and then go from there. And then we've had good fishing. Just straight out of Ensenada the last couple of years as well. Right by the border inside the 60-mile bank. That's been a little hot spot.
That's got to add some extra, I don't know, frustrating is the right word, elements to it. Is like, it's not just, you don't have to just make a catch. You have to find them, and then they have to be the right size, and then you don't want to have to tow too far, and you don't want to tow too close, and it's got to be the right size. There's a lot of little things that go into it,
For sure. I mean, those days when you're seeing just massive amounts of fish, and it's like, too small. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, it's not a matter of where they're here. We put the boat where the fish are, but they're not the right ones.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
That's pretty cool. Well, great text coming through.
Yeah,
you have a good one?
I do. I thought it was a fun one to start with, and it was from Tim from Tarzana. It says, Captain Aaron, how much fun to have you back here on Let's Talk Hookup. My question is, what brings more stress? Having to put 20 long-range fishermen on catching fish, wrapping bluefin, or finding your albacore? My second part of the question is, when's the last time you caught a fish on a rod and reel, and what were you fishing for?
Last fish I caught on a rod and reel. Start with that one. I do a lot of freshwater fishing, so up to Cuyamaca and stuff like that. So the last fish I caught was a largemouth bass, and I would say bluefin fishing. It would be more stressful because there's so many moving parts, and you're putting a multi-million-dollar net in the water, and it's a lot of stress, and a lot of money in there, and expectations are high. But that being said, I always tried my best to get my passengers on fish, and I did stress a lot about that. Yeah.
What can go wrong when you put the net in the water?
Oh man,
that was a real sigh. That was a real one.
That's a real.
You got all these hydraulics, so it's something goes wrong with the winch and the cable's not coming out, or we've had rings jump and catch the net and literally tore the net from bottom to top before. We're fixing it for 48 hours straight. Roll ups, just a lot of different stuff can happen. Yeah, skiff, won't start, stuff like that. So,
and I just didn't think about the moving parts that like Pete was talking about. Like when you say go, like that fish is responsible for the jobs of over 100 people. Like it all trickles down the line. Guys that are catching bait and moving skiffs and towing pens and divers and jumpers and flights and helicopter, like all of that depends on the fish that you say go on.
Yep, exactly. And it's frustrating. That's why we try and get lined up on the fish the best we can and take our time, because once that skiff goes in the water, we have to let it all out and come back around. So we're out of the picture for a couple hours there once that skiff hits the water, whether we catch the fish or not. So,
and then there's huge bruisers off the other side.
Oh, exactly. That's why it's like sometimes we're like, well, okay, let's just be patient, because you see one school, probably there's going to be some more. But so
that's
once
a good point.
Yeah. And it's the most frustrating thing when that skiff hits the water and the fish makes a left-hand turn. You're like, well, there went a couple hours.
Yeah,
so.
and it's literally going to be that. It'll be a couple hours before you can even try again.
Exactly.
Oh, it's wild.
Yeah.
That's why albacore fishing, you're fishing all the time, usually seeing something and working. So it's a lot less downtime, I'd say. Fishing albacore, more action. So it's fun that way.
Where's the weather worse?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, the weather off Washington in the summertime is, especially Columbia River, is probably the nicest on the coast.
Really?
So yeah, that's like a little eddy area right there. It's nice. You get down towards Cape Blanco in Oregon. Oh man, wind tunnel from there down like San Francisco.
No kidding.
Oh, I didn't know that. So you kind of get above enough, and it becomes nice.
Exactly. So when it's nice weather here on the beach, and you guys are having a nice sunny summer, it's just causing that suction all down the California coast. That's why it's a really hard place to fish in California for albacore for us until about September. So as soon as you start getting the low pressures up there off Oregon and Washington, the weather gets nicer down here. Once things start cooling down.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. And what about the weather down when you're wrapping bluefin?
It's pretty good. January, for whatever reason, is pretty good weather. February, we took off, and luckily we did, because it was terrible weather.
Yeah.
So.
But you're on a big boat, right?
We're on a 225-foot boat.
Yeah.
So
and how big is the albacore boat?
65 feet.
60. So a little different.
Yeah, a little different. But the thing is, when we fish that bluefin, we have to put those skiffs in the water, so it can't be rough weather. Usually, when it gets to 20 knots, we just call it. If we're gonna have a few days of wind, we'll just go anchor up. It's not worth it, the risk of the guy's safety and all that.
Sure.
Being in the skiffs. So.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump back on the phones.
You got it, man. And packed up they are. We're gonna next up talk to John. He's calling us from Escondido this morning. Good morning, John. Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. It was nice to see your freshwater fishing trip that you took, Ricky. I got a couple questions though and so I was fortunate enough years ago to go down and fish the pen, and it was pretty cool. That it was just you weren't close or anything like that, but it's like your buddies wanted to get in there, and and so they were just hanging out. Are you still allowed to do that? And if so, how far away do you have to stay? And then on your albacore fishing, I didn't know you when you were on the Royal Flares, but I know that Jonathan Yamati on the Royal Flares, he's got an albacore boat. Are you part of that group?
Yes, yeah. Johnny's now, he's not albacore fishing. He still has owns, I think, half the boat or something like that. So he's going to be on the Royal Polaris this year. But yeah, he was part of our group. I've known Johnny for a long time. He's great fisherman, works super hard. It was always a pleasure working with him. And the pens. So the pens that were offshore, they usually, especially the other company, did that to kind of acclimate the fish and keep them in nice water. Sometimes if the water on the beach, upwells and it gets like red tide, they'll take the pens offshore just to get them in the cleaner water. But yeah, they're just like a big fad, like, big like kelp patty with live fish on it. So yeah, it's worked good. But just stay 300 yards away or something like that. The fish are just swimming. They're not exactly on the pen. They're just around and in the area like that. And I don't know if there's any pins offshore right now or not, but it's always a great place to check for fish. So we even see schools following pins that are getting towed. So, the chopper will always go take a lap around those pens that are getting towed with fish in them to see if a school's hanging out with them.
Really?
Yeah.
And they just kind of, it's almost like a dog
Exactly.
following a dog.
They're just like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Where are you guys going?
Yeah, exactly.
Something must be cool going this direction.
Pretty interesting. Yeah.
What is the what size school is, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but like worthy of your guys' time? Obviously it's 2 hours and it's a lot of moving parts. Like how much fish is it, become worthwhile for you to put the skiff in the water?
Usually 50 and bigger. And it depends on the day. If we know there's going to be some good schools in the afternoon, we'll pass on some in the morning, and just wait for opportunity. Logistically, if we go 20 miles and find a school and set, and it's a smaller school, we have, it's not just the time it takes to put the net in the water, but the pen's got to get up to us. So the pens only go 4 knots. So, 5 hours, you got to calculate all that whether you want to put the net in the water or not.
That's what I keep. It's like every question we ask you adds another 25 moving parts to one set. It's a lot to think about.
It is. Yeah.
I'm sure like you're, like you just described, I'm sure holding off has got to be one of the hardest parts, like in your mind, as a fisherman, okay, we got to find the fish and we got to catch it. Like there's just a lot more to it than just that.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, let's jump right back into the phones. This time we're going to talk to Todd. Todd's calling us from Costa Mesa this morning. Todd, good morning. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Hey, good morning, guys. Great show. Hey, I got a question for Captain Aaron and a question for Rick and Pete, and it is in regards to drones. I was last summer off the backside of San Clemente, and I noticed a big yacht had a drone, and I'm assuming he was using it for surveillance to locate tuna. And so my question for Captain Aaron is, do you guys foresee you guys incorporating drones into your fishing? And Pete and Rick, do you guys ever come across guys using drones for surveillance to locate fish?
So we have looked into that, especially like a glider type drone, to cover, big swaths of area like that. But it's been tough. Obviously you'd have to have someone monitoring the camera all the time. And it's, like the guys in the chopper and like Adrian in the plane, they're fishing up there, so it's like seeing little distinct differences in the water, like a splash or something like that, and then you go check it out. So we kind of haven't been able to really, it's just more difficult, it's doing it with a drone. So
like you say, I'm sure the perception of seeing something on a screen is different from a guy that's got 30 years of seeing it with his eyeballs.
100%.
I was fortunate to fly with Tom Green before he retired one day. And that's exactly what he does. He's fishing.
Yeah.
Right.
He's fishing up there.
And he sees stuff that it's like, where, what, right?
Isn't it crazy? He'll see something and just turn the plane on over. You're like, whoa.
Yeah. It's, and you've flown with them, right?
Yep.
I'm sure it probably gives you some good insight about what you're looking for.
Oh, no, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. It's a totally different, aspect seeing it from up there. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So.
I'm sure just like anything too, like, you guys, actually you in particular, when somebody reaches that level, you get so good at seeing the little nuances, seeing a breezer in breeze and things like that. Like, I'm sure Tom's got to be the same way. Like, you do that for so long and look at the texture of the water, what you're fishing for. I'm sure there's just, big things that he's found that just barely give themselves up.
Exactly. Even one bird offshore, you just go over there like, whoa, there's a school.
Cool.
Yeah. So there's something about the human eye on the water versus like a drone, somebody watching
100%. It's just, watching something on a screen would be difficult to pick out those little differences that you need to see.
Or the stuff in the distance or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. And as far as drones locally, I mean, why not? But I've never used them.
I'm sure, you start throwing a few years on things and that technology gets so good and so easy. I'm sure it will be incorporated in some fashion at some point. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, as it gets less. I mean, the military certainly has it.
Right.
So as it gets less expensive, who knows,
Yeah,
right?
who
What
knows?
the future holds. For sure. I have a great text here, and it's from Rob in Seal Beach. He says, "Good morning, everyone. I have a question from Captain Barnhill. When you decide to harvest fish, do you clean right on the spot, or do you take the whole thing to a processor?"
So they do harvest them right there at the farm. So they have a harvest boat come out, and they
right at the pen, right?
Right at the pen. Yep. And they, they dry the pen up, get one fish at a time. They spike it, do the thing down the spine, gill and bleed it out, gill and gut it right there, and then it goes onto ice and totes. And as soon as they have whatever they need, they they take it back in El Salzal, and then they start putting them in shipping containers and stuff like that.
Wow.
So,
yeah. And I actually have seen the processing, and it's pretty amazing. They hand harvest them, right? Because they don't want to stress them, right?
Right.
So that, like, divers go in and just like cowboy them, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I actually haven't seen it in person, but
Yeah.
that's what they say. It's pretty cool deal.
I got to see it once also, and it's wild how fast the process happens. Like full
Yeah.
assembly line. Like there's a guy, guiding the fish up, hydraulic line. It's on the boat, and it's just one guy spikes and slides it down the line, and the other guy, gills them and guts. It's just like it was amazing how fast from that fish being in the water to being done.
Yeah.
Was just precision time. It was wild.
Yeah. And those guys in the water are good at it.
Yeah.
They're hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, great show. Just a lot more going on here, and just really a fantastic show here with Captain Aaron.
Yeah, we're super pumped to have him, man. We got a whole lot more. You stay tuned. More Let's Talk Hookup coming your way. We're also going to check in with catch reports, find out what's biting, and more. It's Let's Talk Hookup on the Let's Talk Hookup app, Facebook and YouTube Live, and 97.3 The Fan. Rock Cod Rick here to tell you about Parker Boats and the guys at West Coast Marine. By now, you all know my boat partner and I bought a new 25 Parker center console from crew at West Coast Marine in Costa Mesa. We've known for a long time that a Parker was the boat for us. It's a stout workhorse of a boat built to last and get you home when the seas get rough. Parker Boats at the launch ramp, the offshore tuna grounds. You wake up in the morning on an overnight trip, and there they are. Parker Boats of all sizes, fishing in the same areas as the sporties. There's a good reason for it: fishability and seaworthiness. West Coast Marine has several new Parkers in stock and ready for delivery, and they have more on the way. Don't get caught without a reliable boat when fishing is this good. Take it from me, if you're ready for a new Parker at a fair, upfront, and honest deal, you need to see West Coast Marine. Check out the inventory and information at westcoastmarine.com.
Hello, this is Captain Mike Totter from Searcher Sport Fishing. Alongside my colleague, Chef Josh Evans, and our dedicated team, we invite you to join us aboard the Searcher. Our fishing trips range from 1.5 to 8 days, available May through November, and include charter options. We're committed to upholding a legacy of top-notch customer service, delicious food, and a friendly and talented crew. Book your fishing adventure online at searchersportfishing.com or call Rachel at 619-226-2403. That's searchersportfishing.com. We look forward to welcoming you aboard.
The lighter the bite and the cleaner the water means one thing: you need a thinner leader, more natural presentations. That's where Seaguar Gold Label leader material shines. It's Seaguar's thinnest leader material yet. That means it's even less visible underwater and creates more natural presentations for better catch rates on leader-shy fish. With exceptional knot and tinsel strength, this advanced leader material is now available from 2-pound test for fishing trout in the Sierra to 80-pound test for big yellowfin in Guadalupe. Get Seaguar Gold Label at your favorite tackle dealer or learn more at seaguar.com.
Everything about Katmai Lodge is first rate, and it should be on the bucket list of everyone who enjoys fishing. This is Brandon Bono. My visit to Katmai Lodge is an experience I will never forget. Constructed on the banks of the Alagnak River in Katmai National Park, the lodge is a fishing dream come true. The experience is incomparable. Whether bait casting, spin, or fly fishing, you'll find king, sockeye, chum, coho, and pink salmon, plus trout, grayling, char, and dolly varden. Their guides are amazing. Days are exciting and fun with hot lunches and snacks served on the river. The brown bears, bald eagles, beaver, otters, and other wildlife you see is amazing. The lodge staff is great. There's complimentary wine, beer, and appetizers before a fantastic dinner every evening. Take it from me, a trip to Katmai Lodge should be on your list. For information, visit katmai.com or call 1-800-330-0326. Once again, that's Katmai Lodge, KATMAI.com.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. Having a great time here this morning. Talking fun, talking fishing with Captain Aaron. What a good time this has been, buddy.
Yeah, for sure. We have a lot going on Let's Talk Hookup today, including great calls from Aaron. And in the second hour, of course, which is only going to be on the Let's Talk Hookup app, as well as Facebook and YouTube Live, or on our regular stream, we're going to hear from Seth Bone and Kingfisher Charters.
All right.
And then coming back, he's back. Chris Moyer from Smokies is going to be starting our East Cape report, starting back up every Saturday. So things are happening down there. So that'll be in the second hour, 8 to 9 a.m., only, of course, on the Let's Talk Hookup app and YouTube and Facebook Live.
That's it, man.
So you don't want to forget that.
Well, in the meantime, the phones are absolutely packed up. Same with the text. If you want to get through, it's 833-288-0973, or you can send us a text through the Let's Talk Hookup app. Let's jump right back into the phones and talk to Mike. He's calling us from Torrance this morning. Hey, Mike, welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Good morning, guys. Great show as always. Hi, Aaron. How's everything going?
Good. Good morning.
Hey, I just two things. One is I wanted to regale some fantastic times on the Shogun 2015 when Guadalupe opened, and had some insane trips down there with Aaron and Russ. So regards to Russ, and those are some good times, Aaron, on the Shogun. Here's my question. You know, I've heard a million times the stories from 1986. The guys out of San Pedro caught 800-pound bluefin and wherever that was, SBI. What's the big ones you see? Do you see any giant bluefin? I'm talking 300, 400, 500, 600 pounds. I mean, have you guys ever seen stuff like that?
We've seen some like pushing 400 pounds. Yeah, there was one little like wolf pack, maybe like 50 fish that were big ones. I think what happened back there in the 80s is like one school of fish just stayed here once it got to breeding age and didn't go back across. So the bluefin come over here usually is about 8 pounds, and they stay on this side of the Pacific until they get to breeding age, which is 300 plus pounds, and then they go back across over towards Japan and all that, and that's where they spend the rest of their life breeding. So it must have been that the conditions were just right, warm water, and they just stayed over here, and that's one school just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
So biggest you've seen?
The biggest I've seen, yeah, right around 400.
400.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, high threes, something like that. Yeah.
And the whole school was fish of that size?
Yeah, that rat pack was. And then we have I think we had like a 350 this year that got caught up in the net. We rolled it on board, so we flayed it up for the galley. But that was just one random fish in a school of like 120 pounders.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So.
And how often does that happen? Because, obviously you're trying to keep them alive, but they're in a net. And obviously you guys are very good at what you do. And I'm sure it's not often, but.
Yeah, we get a few, maybe like a handful. So they just,
get in the net.
Squirrely ones, just get in the net. And, we got 22 people on board. So we eat fish. We eat a fish meal every day.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Is the crew all all people from Mexico? Because the only reason I ask is I think Albacore fishing, it's not uncommon to have foreign crews, but on the bluefin side, where's your crew?
Yeah, a crew's all from Mexico. I'd say half from Mazatlan area and half from Ensenada area, and then all my crew for Albacore is from Ensenada, and those guys have been doing it since they were teenagers. Yeah, all my crews, they're all in their 50s. So,
really?
Yeah, and they're just solid guys. Okay. I have one American crew member. Young kid, and that's the thing is, it's just these guys want to do this, basically their whole life. And, getting crew here, it's usually get a guy for a year or two and he splits and stuff like that. But these guys are just solid and they love the work and they're really good at it. And
that's cool.
Yeah.
And fishermen from the day one, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Cool. Well, let's jump back on the phones, Rick.
You got it, man. How about this time we talked to AP, who called us from Santee this morning. What's up, buddy? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me this morning, Mr. Sandin, Mr. Maxa, Mr. Gray. I just want to give you guys a shout out and thank you for this radio show. I look forward to it every single weekend. This is the first time that I've managed to get on the show, and I just wanted to take a moment. I have two questions, but first I want to address Memorial Day. I think Memorial Day signifies the start of the season. It's a very exciting time for us, all fishermen here. But also take the time to appreciate the people that have essentially paid the ultimate sacrifice to allow us to have those freedoms. And it's a moment to remember those people that have done so. So first of all, I'd like to give a shout out to all the first responders, firefighters, law enforcement, specifically Border Patrol agents, that military as well, that have paid the ultimate sacrifice for us to be able to enjoy these freedoms that we're afforded. Second, for Captain Aaron, I had a question regarding the quotas. Does it change when it pertains to bluefin versus yellowfin? So like when you guys fill your quota for bluefin, is it any different, say, when the yellowfin come up in our zone? Is that a totally different quota? And then the second question is for Mr. Maxa, and it's regarding the recent report that came out regarding white sea bass being the hatchery program being a failure. What's your take on that? And also props out to Fisherman's Landing Tackle. You guys are very knowledgeable and professional, and I always appreciate being able to go in there and ask any question, and you guys are readily available to answer any questions that I may have. So thank you for that.
Well, that's nice, AP.
And good words there, AP,
Yeah,
on
great.
Memorial Day, and a
Great
happy
take,
Memorial
bro.
Day,
That was
and
awesome.
definitely
Thanks for
remember
doing
those
that.
that made the ultimate sacrifice, for sure. So what about that?
So the quota is regulated by the Inter-American Tropical Tuna Commission, and it did jump up this last year considerably, which is
Because of the abundance?
Because of the abundance, yeah. And so, it's a lot. Basically the whole Pacific is managed by that. These different countries coming together, and the quota is, allotted by the amount of effort that goes into the fish and all that. So, once our quota is done, it's done. It has nothing to do with the yellowfin quota. The yellowfin quota is exponentially bigger than the bluefin quota. So it sounds like a lot of fish that we catch, but if you look at it in terms of the yellowfin catch, it's minuscule.
Okay.
So, but it's been working. The quota system it's been great. Back in the early 2000s, there 16 boats fishing it. A lot of the fish is going to the cannery and stuff like that. So only bluefin can be caught in Mexico that goes to this live pen fishery. So none of it's going to be going to cat food. None of it's going to be, going to anything else. So it's good. And the fact that we're concentrating on fish over 100 pounds, we take a lot less pieces out of the equation. So, if you catch, 100 ton to 20 pound fish, that's a lot of pieces you're taking out of there.
And I'll address the hatchery thing. That's bad information.
Yeah.
The hatchery has been a very successful program. There's a lot of bad information that comes out of Fish and Wildlife in Sacramento. They've been tremendously successful. It's been proven over and over and over again with returns of heads and tags and such like that.
The other thing that was cool is cool genetic science came out, in the last couple of years. And that was the thing, like the only, it was just like the only mark of success was return of the tags, that get implanted in the head. And they have found that, not all tags work. I mean, just like you with a splinter in your thumb, sometimes a month later it works itself out. Well, the same thing potentially happens with the tags. What was really cool was that genetic, sampling has gotten so much better that they could start to trace fish that way. And that starts to give you an idea of, well, maybe this fish that you caught didn't have a tag, but it was spawned out by one that did. So there's no mark of that. And now that they can start to track genetics, it showed that the hatchery program was tremendously more successful than originally thought, because it's one thing, it's tag, you can't always recover every tag, and you never know how much a tagged fish then re-added to the population. But with genetic sampling, you can, and it has shown that it's a lot more successful than previously thought.
No question about it. And we don't know what happened. Thanks for the call, by the way, and then nice wishes. We don't have what happened with Marcos, because he must be taking the Memorial Day holiday off.
I hope
but
he is.
in the
Man, he
meantime,
deserves
this portion of the show is sponsored by Dana Landing on Mission Bay, your one-stop shop for everything you need to go fishing. They have a complete deli, beverages, boating supplies, as well as one of the best saltwater tackle shops around. Also, check out East County Bait and Tackle and Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle, the best in both fresh and saltwater tackle, along with live bait. Dana Landing is next to the launch ramp in Mission Bay, ECBT at the end of the 67 freeway in Lakeside, and Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle on Broadway and Lemon Grove. Check danalanding.com, and I'm going to bet you they're pretty busy this morning.
Maybe he's just
Memorial Day
harboring.
weekend.
Maybe he's just harboring on to old issues when Captain Aaron ran the Legend back in the day and brought the boat in too late. late or came in too early. Maybe it's just old school. Just he can't face it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to remind you, power your boat with Norsk Lithium, the ultimate choice for marine adventures. Norsk delivers unmatched starting, trolling, and electrical power. Norsk batteries are packed with cutting-edge technology. Upgrade your marine power today. Set up your system at norsklithium.com or see the trolling motor doctor for help.
All right. Hey, we had a fun text come through. It's from John in Rancho San Diego. It says, man, what a fun show this is. Captain Aaron, can you please put your old school sport boat hat back on? You were my favorite captain to fish with Bluefin. When you pin on a bait and you're fly lining from a Bluefin tuna, do you feel it's essential to use a circle hook or a J hook? And does fluorocarbon really make a big difference? That's from John in Rancho San Diego.
Fluorocarbon makes a huge difference. I am a firm believer in fluorocarbon. I use it for everything from trout and, surf fishing and bass fishing, everything. I'm definitely.
Do you use it on the Albacore boat?
We do for bait pole fishing.
Do you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. So we use like 150 pound, and the guys back in the day used piano wire, but we've kind of switched over using that fluorocarbon.
The fluorocarbon. Abrasion resistance, and they don't see it as well.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And the circle hook versus J hook, I prefer the J hook for smaller fish and a bigger fish circle.
All right, very good. Well,
great text. When we come back, we got more Let's Talk Hookup coming your way, but on the stream and on Facebook and YouTube Live, we're going to say bye to the fan. Looking forward to another great show, but we'll catch you on the app for this next hour. It's Let's Talk Hookup, Southern California sport fishing voice on that Let's Talk Hookup app, Facebook and YouTube Live.
45 years. That's how long we've been right here on Mission Bay, helping friends and family like you discover the joy of sailing, kayaking, and everything life on the water has to offer. I'm Logan from Basslane Kayaks, and if you ask Ron and Debbie Lane whether 45 years feels like a long time, they'll tell you time flies when you're having fun. You see, the Lanes have followed their passion for a life on the water, and they've made a living inviting others along for the ride. Over the years, the shop has grown and changed, and so have the employees and products inside. From selling catamarans in the 1970s as newlyweds, living in a VW bus in the store parking lot, to being the destination Hobie fishing kayak store they are today, working with their 2 sons and daughter. You might be looking for a new way to enjoy time on the water with your family, or maybe you're looking for a new way to stay active, enjoy nature, explore, and catch a spotted bay bass. Whatever your goals, come visit us in Dana Landing on Mission Bay, and we'll get you geared up and ready to enjoy life on the water.
Do you know why 1 million customers visited Summit Gasoline last year at the San Diego Sports Arena? Because they give you the lowest price on fuel, great service, and easy access, even for trucks and trailers at their 24 pumps. Summit is known for the best price on ice, too. Almost half the cost of any other vendor. 25 pounds for just $3.99. Martha and her crew love fishermen, and they'll prove it by giving you 100 pounds free with a 35-gallon fill-up. Summit offers over 40 snacks and drinks to choose from for only 89 cents, and even a line of hand creams and lip balms for 89 cents too. Summit now proudly offers locally made burritos and sandwiches, made fresh daily and ready to go wherever the current takes you. Summit just upgraded their car wash, and for a limited time, get a deluxe car wash for only $6. Grab the wife's car, grab a cheap sandwich, and make up for the day on the water. Summit Gasoline, lowest prices, friendliest staff, easy access, and free ice. What more can you ask for?
Looking for the ultimate Alaska fishing experience and the best value in Alaska? Look no further than Kingfisher Charters in Sitka, Alaska. A trip to Kingfisher includes everything you need to make your experience legendary. The finest fishing fleet in Sitka with the best captains, deluxe accommodations, gourmet food, world-class fish processing, and the best part, it's all included for one amazing price. Kingfisher is Let's Talk Hookup's most popular destination. Hundreds of listeners have experienced Kingfisher Charters, and most go back again and again. You have probably heard a lot of big promises from other Alaska lodges, only to find there were lots of hidden charges. Not Kingfisher. Everything is included. 10-hour fishing days, your license, fish processing, super deluxe accommodations, amazing food, airport transfers, and fishing gear. All you bring is your layer clothing, and Kingfisher covers the rest. Kingfisher Charters, your Alaska fishing destination. 800-727-6136 or check kingfishercharters.com.
For local or long-range fishing, we have you covered. Hi, this is Doug Kern from Fisherman's Landing Tackle, the saltwater tackle professionals. Being a part of the San Diego Sport Fishing Landing gives us a distinct advantage when it comes to getting you on the latest and hottest tackle for your trip. Our expert staff knows exactly what you need for your long-range or local trip, and we will not sell you something you don't need. We carry a huge inventory of the right tackle. So visit us at Fisherman's Landing Tackle at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego. The name that stands out among anglers is Fisherman's Landing, your top choice in local and long-range fishing. Our hardworking crew will make your fishing experience one to remember. We offer the finest open party trips from 1 to 3 days, the best charter boats available, and of course, our world-renowned long-range fleet is second to none. All our open party trips can be easily booked online at fishermanslanding.com or give us a call. I'll see you at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego.
Now it's time for more of Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's talk hookup. Get ready for more of the best fishing information and the hottest tips on improving your angling skills. Let's Talk Hookup is sponsored in part by Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup. Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. And now, Southern California's sports fishing voice, the hosts of Let's Talk Hookup, Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, and Corey Sandin.
And welcome back. Hour number 2, Let's Talk Hookup, right here on the Let's Talk Hookup app, YouTube and Facebook Live. Pete Gray here, along with Rock Cod Rick Maxa in the world headquarters of Let's Talk Hookup here, right next to the San Diego Landings. Busy San Diego Landings this Memorial Day weekend in Point Loma. Captain Aaron Barnhill, who formerly of the Shogun and run many sport boats through his years, now a commercial bluefin and albacore fisherman, and just having a great time talking fishing with Captain Aaron. And boy, what a prize we're giving away too.
Man, you're not kidding if you didn't catch the beginning of the show. Obviously super fun having Aaron back in the studio talking fishing with us, but a great prize. One lucky caller or texter at the end of today's show is going to win that brand new pair of killer coasters that Pete's holding up to the camera right now. It's a pair of Reefton Pros. It's the gray silver mirror lens, a fantastic set of shades.
Really good looking shades with a matching gray frame there.
That's a very West Coast style. Like we've been after them a bunch. You know, like for a while there was a lot of clear and bright Florida Keys frames, and they just make so many cool West Coast styles. That Reefton Pro is certainly one of the best of them. And one lucky caller texter is going to have that.
And of course, it's got that fantastic 580 glass lens that Costa's so famous for. It's the absolute best lens around, and you could take your keys to it and not scratch it.
That was crazy. Did you get to see that video that Hoos did? That like freaked me out, man. It was like the old like Delmar Fair Carney trick. He's like, let me see your keys, and just starts like just crushing his keys on the lens of his glasses. And I was cringing from that. It was really fun.
They don't scratch.
No doubt about it, man. Well, the phones were packed up in that first hour, and we're going to go heavy on the text, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But before we do that, we're going to find out what's biting out there. It is time to continue our catch report, and we got the man, Captain Mark Wish, has got our fishdope.com report today. That's sponsored in part by Gamakatsu Hooks. If you like to fish for tuna and you're not using Gamakatsu, you are missing bites. The Nautilus Circle Hook comes in sizes as small as number 4 and up to a 6-0. And for big fish, the Nautilus HD is my favorite. It's not an oversized wire, but extremely strong hook. They both come in ringed or non-ringed versions. You can see your local dealer, or better yet, just check gamakatsu.com. We got the man, Captain Mark Wish, is standing by. Good morning, Mark.
Hey, Ricky, Pete, Aaron. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
What a fantastic show, man. So much different info here. I'm just absolutely loving it. It's great. So here we go, guys. Memorial Day weekend. This is like my favorite report of the year because it's kind of the unofficial start of summer for everybody, unofficial start of summer for the fishing season. And, man, we've seen a major uptick in action in several different places there. So up north, Santa Rosa, Santa Cruz, they got pretty healthy populations of sea bass and halibut up there. But, man, that weather has just been brutal. Fortunately, the Weather Service dropped the gale warnings. Now it's only small craft, so it's only blowing 20-25 instead of 35-40. So, yeah, isn't that nice? I had one of my customers in the tackle store the other day who was up there on one of the sport boats, and he said it was so cold, so windy, so rough and so miserable, but he caught his first sea bass, so he didn't care.
There it is.
So, yeah, for sure. And he said, interestingly, all squid fish, guys were fishing the flukes, but nobody hooked one on a fluke. It's all on the squid there. In Santa Monica Bay, after several years of slower halibut fishing, man, somebody flipped the switch, and they're really biting good. It's amazing, some of the volumes of fish that are coming out of there. Some really good grade too, mostly in the lower part of the bay, you know, below Del Rey down towards Torrance Beach and a little bit even towards Rocky like that. But a lot of really nice ones. Nothing from Nick or Santa Barbara Island this week. You know, they've had some weather. And at the famed Catalina Island, it is Memorial Day. It is crowded, but Catalina's been you know, it's been pretty good sea bass fishing here for a couple weeks. And this week, they kind of ganged up a little bit more on the bait grounds, traditional area, Silver Canyon, famous Silver Canyon. And it was good fishing, man. A lot of guys had limits. A lot of guys got some really big ones. And along with the good grade sea bass, a healthy slug of that big yellow moved in, which we haven't seen much of. So it was pretty interesting fishing here. But you know, they typically bite for about 3 days, and then the word gets out and it gets crowded, and they make a move, which they did. Kind of died off yesterday quite a bit there. So from that Silver Canyon area, you know, they might make a move to up above Ben Weston in towards like Junk Spot. Lobster Bay's always been a place to look, all the way to West Cove. All those spots are probably the place to be looking instead of just hanging out on the bait grounds all day. Waiting for something to come by. And, you know, it might rebite right there in the same spot, too. So those things are tricky, and you'll have fun looking for them, that's for sure. Over at Komeni, that island's just off to a strange start this year. It's trying to shake off the doldrums. There's yellows on both of the middles, front side and back side. And, you know, a lot of bonito over there mixed in also. But in terms of the yellows and the sea bass, just a different kind of start this year. So maybe it'll get it together. And then along the coast, you know, we've had a major uptick in water temps here the past week or so. And bass fishing is really responding. Calico bass, sand bass, both there. It's just getting much better on just about all the coastal spots. We're starting to see some barracuda on the Horseshoe, which is a really good sign for springtime fishing. You know, we love to see those guys settle in there, you know, sport boats and private boats, both. Just love catching those things. And along with that barracuda, also saw a little bit of big sea bass move in on the coast. One of my customers had one just a hair under 40 pounds the other day, 39 point something, and mixed in out there on the Horseshoe with that barracuda. So, you know, just a major uptick almost everywhere. And, you know, unfortunately, it's a little choppy on the outside. Those guys trying to catch a bluefin tuna, man, I hope they took their seasick pills. A little rude out there, but just a lot of fish around, a lot of good stuff going on. And that's this week's report.
We'll certainly take that, man. It's great to hear. And, you know, it was a bummer to have that wind and swell kind of hit us during the middle of the big holiday weekend. But as you said, it was still fishable and some amazing fishing that happened before the weather. And the best part is it looks like we've got good weather as soon as this blows through. So
yeah, and of course, fishdope.com. Danny and the boys will have all that information for you. $30 off a new membership to fishdope.com using the code Hookup Now, lowercase, no space. $30 off. Hookup Now is the code. And Mark, how do we find you?
Well, Pete, we're in Huntington Beach on the corner of Bolsa Chica and Edinger. And phone number at the store is 714-840-4262. The website's PacificEdgeTackle.com. And I got a question for Aaron.
Yes, sir.
You need your sport boat captain hat and your commercial seiner guy hat on for this. So when you're out there and you're looking at schools of fish everywhere, which we've all seen, and then the next day it's like the area has been vacuumed clean. They're just gone. And then a day or two later, lo and behold, a lot of times they pop right back up in the same exact spot. You guys have any idea as to what triggers that?
No, we don't. It's and that's the thing. You're like, well,
That's
did
a God thing,
they
Mark.
move or are they there? And so that's the good thing about having the plane and the chopper. If we don't see that fish, within 30, 40, 50 miles around there or any sign, it's like, okay, well, the fish are just down. And if all the signs there, like the water didn't change, there's still the deep bait and stuff like that. And that's what happened to us out front here. It's like we literally went to zero sign for a couple of days. Not even see one fish. And then it's like, then all of a sudden they're all back up again. So it's wild.
What's the range of the chopper? We know the plane can go all over the place.
We try not to have it fly more than 20 miles away from the boat.
20 miles away.
Yeah.
But that's pretty far.
Yeah, it's still right.
And how high does the chopper fly versus the plane?
The plane's usually about 800 to 1,000 feet, and the chopper's usually about 500.
500.
Yeah, 500-600. Yeah.
So the plane, Adrian on the plane gives you the big picture, and then the chopper kind of narrows everything down.
Exactly. So if we're on some fish, and we don't need Adrian, we just have him sent on a little mission. So we always want to have like a backup plan, whether the fish goes down or moves or something like that. If we have 2 areas we can work on, that's always like better call. So yeah. And
of course, Adrian's other job is the owner of Cedros Sport Fishing.
Yep.
So he spends a lot of time on Cedros.
He does.
Yeah. And that's where he flies from.
Yep. Yeah. Most of the time. Yeah. That or San Quintin. Depending on where the fish is at, or Ensenada.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
And like life just revolves around where the fish are at. He's gonna base life based on where the schools of fish are at. You guys do the same with the boat. I mean, it's just,
exactly. He's got a backpack in the plane. We're like, all right, Adrian, you're going to Cedros tonight. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And this time of the year, when you guys are finished, he's working on Cedros Sport Fishing.
Yeah. I'd love to make it back down there. What an awesome place that is.
Pretty awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll have Rosie on the show next Saturday.
Yeah, it's coming, man. They're down. I saw the first.
They're on.
The first few photos of the first trip are going on right now, and that place is just unreal. It's still so amazing.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, appreciate your report, and we'll talk to you next Saturday.
All right, you got it, guys.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate we'll talk to you then. We'll see you.
All right, appreciate that. And again, that's going to wrap up our code, sponsored in part by the Fish Pros at Fisherman's Processing in San Diego, where you get the premier processing experience. Check out the easier online system to book your processing for your long-range trips. With more team members, Fisherman's Processing stays far ahead of the rest. More same-day capacity and the finest in customer service. You can stop by their location in Old Town on Taylor Street or check fishermansprocessing.com and be sure you make your reservation today.
Yeah, for sure. Indeed. Hey, you have a great text.
I do. It says, good morning, guys. Coming in loud and clear at the campgrounds just north of Julian. My question is for Captain Aaron. When you're catching tuna, specifically albacore, what is the process from the fish hitting the deck to then being put up for sale? How do you clean, store, sell, etc.? Also, is there any way to pick up fresh albacore? I'd love to buy some before Pete's predictions finally come true. Thanks for everything you do. Really enjoying the show.
Awesome. So we the albacore land on deck, and we have just water going over them to kind of rinse them off and stuff like that. And we conveyor them right up and they go right into a well. So they're never on deck for very long. And all of our fish is frozen. It's for cans. Most of my fish goes to Spain because the RSW process that we do, they like that fish. Spain, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so most of my fish goes there. I'd say about 75%. The rest goes to, local markets. But we have markets, through AFA all over the world. So,
so as a whole fish, it goes to Spain?
As a whole fish, yep. Yeah, it goes right into the containers. So we I'd say 90% of the time I offload in Westport, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So the fish goes off in bins and it gets weighed. It goes into fiber totes, plastic lined fiber totes, and then goes right into a chilled container. The truck takes it to the port, and it's off on a ship to wherever it's going to go.
Wow. And how long does it take once it hits that container to get to Spain?
I think it's like 20 days or something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Something
but
like
it's
that.
solid fish. It's frozen.
Yep. Yeah. So we keep it at under 10 degrees, and then the containers are usually about 0.
You said that they like your fish and that your fish stays in RSW. What are the other methods that other people employ? Is there just kind of everybody do the same thing in terms of storage, or there different boats do different things?
So there is small ice boats, that'll go out where you can get, answer your question about getting fresh albacore down here.
Sorry.
Yeah. sometimes the Aaron Nicole or some other boats that have blast fish, they'll bring that fish down here, especially Pat Kavanaugh on the Aaron Nicole. And that fish is sushi grade fish that is just amazing. You know,
That's blast frozen.
Blast frozen, yeah, it's like a -35. So there's ice fish, brine, spray brine frozen, RSW, which I do. So it's just basically the fish is completely surrounded by water in the chilling phase, so at least 24 hours at 32 degrees, and then we'll pump down, we'll freeze it, but it's still completely in a flooded well, so it stays nice and round and straight and no dents and stuff like that.
And what about the fish that goes into cans?
That's ours. So that ours, a lot of the RSW fish goes into like their fancy jars. They like that RSW for whatever reason. They said it makes something different with the meat.
Like American tuna, do you sell to them? Or
yeah,
no?
yeah, American tuna, Wild Planet, it's a Costco fish. This Spanish fish Ortiz, and there's a company in Thailand, a company in Peru that buys fish. So it's just cool. Yeah. So AFA is just a great organization, American Albacore Fishermen's Association, and Natalie and Jocelyn work really hard, getting us markets and stuff like that. And they're just amazing. I mean, I wouldn't be capable without them, but it's just it's an amazing program for us fishermen, getting the best price that we can and all that. I mean, it's great fish. It's worth good money.
Cool. That's cool. Well, hey, let's go north to Alaska.
Hey.
Talk to our good buddy Seth Bone from Kingfisher Charters. Good morning, Seth.
Hey, Seth.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Great to hear from you.
Yeah. So what's going on in Sitka?
Oh, we've been open here for about a week, and so we're into the season and going well, and we're certainly looking forward to seeing your group coming up here in a few weeks.
Yeah, I'm jealous. My off year this year, but Ricky's going with Dallas.
Yeah, we can't wait, man.
Yeah,
and it's right here. It's right around the corner.
Right around the corner. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the what is the start to the season brought us, Seth? I know things just kind of kicked off with Kingfisher. It's been a really big year. We've had an unusually large amount of guys coming to the shop this year that book trips. I don't know if the Southern California squad is just larger this year or what, but I've had what feels like a larger percentage of people than normal all coming into the shop. Hey, we got a trip in June, we got a trip in July, kind of getting excited. What's the early part of the season looking like for us this year, Seth?
Yeah, it's looking good so far. The fishing's been good, and weather's been, I don't know, I guess about normal. It's overcast today and might rain a little bit, but you guys know the scene.
It's Alaska.
It's been good.
There's a reason it's so green there.
Yeah, and
you're right.
And,
I think we've topped. Oh, go ahead.
And what about the limits this year as far as king salmon and halibut, lingcod, black cod, all that stuff? How are we looking this year?
Well, the king limit's down a bit this year. Not so much. People in the second half of the summer won't really notice it because that one annual limit has been sort of the normal from earlier mid-July on. But this year they started out at a one annual, and so that's a change. We're kind of making up for it, by really getting after the deep water stuff, the sablefish and the short raker, and everything else, halibut, lings, all that. So, guys have still been bringing home a good amount of fish, nice full boxes and everything. But the king limit is down, and the early season trips, will notice that.
Yeah. So that probably means that you're going to get your king limit pretty quick and you'll be able to spend a lot of time doing the other stuff.
Yeah. It's really, because 10 hours sounds like a lot and it's a pretty long day on the water, but it goes by fast, as you guys know. And so, yeah, if you don't spend, hours grinding on your kings, then you can spend those hours, out there getting the black cod or, targeting the just right size halibut or, lings or the rockfish or whatever else. So your day is still full of productive, good fishing. But yes, you tend to get your king limit pretty quick. And you might even want to consider, maybe not taking the first one if it's small, holding out for a little nicer one. And maybe even, not getting the whole group's limit on the first morning, maybe, take a couple on the first morning and then save some for the next day.
One of the other things that just often doesn't get talked about because it doesn't get the headlines of the giant halibut or a big 40-pound lingcod, but the shallow water rockfish fishing in all the areas too, right outside the salmon grounds has become one of our favorite things to do. I mean, catching black rockfish, great eating, but
all the different things you catch
everywhere, everywhere in there inshore, even the fish that you just catch and throw back, all the quillbacks and chinas, the shallow water rockfish fishing in Sitka is the best anywhere I've ever seen ever. And, it can be every cast fishing on a lead head and a swim bait. And, it's so much fun, but it always takes the back seat to, pictures of big halibuts and big lings and beautiful salmon and all that.
Yeah, no, I'd say that's right. I mean, you're right. It's super fun, just a blast, and if you have time, you're getting all the fish that you want to bring home and eat, and you have, time, or if it's important to you, just make the time, and just do it because it is so fun.
Yeah. And that black cod, nothing
God.
eats better than that black cod, man. That's so good. And you guys your captains are the masters at black cod. I mean, you've got so many spots for the black cod there, right? And you can take, can you still take 6 black cod?
No, it's been 4.
4, excuse me.
And that hasn't changed. Yeah.
That's 4 a
that's
day?
Quite a mess, if you got 4. Yeah, 4 per day. There's a cap of 8. So, but really on a 3-day trip, if you get out for black cod 2 of the 3 days, that's doing pretty good anyway. So
that's
if you
a lot of
black cod per person. Yeah, and you get those big short raker rockfish out the same depths in the same area, and those are just a lot of them are just huge, and really, really good eating too.
Yeah, you could fill a tote with one big short raker, man. Those are some serious cods.
And your boats are equipped now for the deep water stuff. Everybody, including your brother.
Well, he's equipped. He anchors, which is good. A lot of the guys are anchoring now, and that's even more effective than the drifting and back trolling. Heath is. I think he's still old school.
You're cranking.
Yeah, if you want it, you got to earn it.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? Heath is the one that started the anchoring thing, and that is I mean, I remember we were just getting them on the anchor.
Cool.
And anchoring in like 1,400 feet of water. How do you do that?
Lots and lots of rope.
Yeah. Yeah. And lots of work for the captain too.
Right. Yeah. No, it's the way to go though. It's kind of like halibut fishing here. We've always anchored for halibut, and if you were to drift for the halibut, you'd catch some. But you do better on anchor, and it's the same thing with the black cod.
That's cool.
Well, are there any spots available if somebody wants to come up to Kingfisher Charters, the absolute finest operation in Sitka, Alaska, and certainly one of the best in the entire world?
Oh, yeah, we actually do have a few openings later season, late August, first half of September, when it's, peak silvers and, of course, the halibut and the black cod and everything else. We still do have a few openings and some really good dates.
And silver limits are still very generous too, right?
Yeah, 6 a day. And it's been like that forever, and I don't see that changing. So it's a great time to come up and have lots of action, and catch a lot of fish, bring home a lot of fish. So it's definitely, if somebody wanted to get a trip this year, it's on good dates and have a great trip, it's definitely not too late.
And catch the biggest kings of the year too, that typically that time of the year, right?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I've seen that. I mean, anywhere that latter part of the season, sometimes you get a slug of big bruising kings come through, and if you still have, the one annual at the end, and you're able to throw in a nice sized king to go with a bunch of silvers, that's a lot of nice salmon to bring home.
That's rad.
And the fish processing at Kingfisher Charters, nobody does it better. I still have fish in my freezer, especially some black cod, that eats just like it was caught yesterday.
It keeps so well.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. You guys are the best. Well, hey, Seth, if somebody wants to come take advantage of those late season trips, or wouldn't be bad to start booking trips. I know our trip always fills up in June there. It wouldn't be bad to book for 2026. We'll all be up there next year. How do we find you?
Well, our website is kingfishercharters.com, and it's there's a link right on the Let's Talk Hookup website. And then our phone number is 907-747-6136. And just we're open, almost round the clock this time of year. So give us a call anytime.
All right. Very good. Thanks, Seth. Great to hear from you from Kingfisher Charters in Sitka, Alaska, and we'll check in with you real soon.
Can't wait to come see you, Seth.
Yeah, see you soon. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Thanks.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Guy gets you so fired
Sounds
up.
good.
I
Huh? You
can't
ready to
wait.
go?
I cannot wait.
I
Yeah.
know it's favorite trip of the year.
I can't wait, and Dallas is about 3 times more excited than I am.
Is that
So,
right?
yeah. We owe a big thanks to grandmas. They're splitting up the duties and taking both the boys so we can sneak up there together. So it'll be our first big long fishing trip solo. Yeah, we can't wait,
Sweet.
man. It's gonna be a great time.
Sweet. Well, John Amir Mesa has a good question for Captain Aaron. How does the weather affect your fishing? How rough can it still be and still be productive? And let's talk about bluefin as well as albacore.
Yeah, so bluefin, it definitely seems like the fish, we call it fair weather fish. It shows better when the weather's nice, especially when the sun's out. I think they just like that sun on their back, getting warm. And for us, we really can't work in a big swell or over 20 knots of wind just because we have those small skiffs in the water to hold the net open. And it's just too dangerous for the guys once it gets too choppy.
How small is a small skiff?
Like 12 and 14 feet.
Oh, small.
Yeah, small.
Yeah. And everything's small when it's on a 225 footer, but you're talking.
Yeah, they're just little aluminum skiffs with 1-15s on them, and just to keep the net open and stuff like that. So albacore fishing, same thing. It seems like grease calm. Okay. You see fish, they don't bite. You want a little bit of turbulence in the water and stuff like that. My favorite's like 10, 12 knots of wind. Okay. Seems like they bite better. We do have some pretty good jigging in choppy weather at times, but then again, bait fishing when it's choppy, you got the guys on the back deck, you taking, waves over the stern. It's just, we like it in a little bit nicer weather. It's safer for the guys.
Totally.
Yeah.
Great questions. Yeah. I had another fun text about the bluefin. Says, man, what a great show. This is so interesting having Captain Aaron in the studio. How long do you keep the tuna in the pens before harvesting?
That depends. It's usually about a minimum of 3 to 4 months to get them up to the fat content that we need. But we have fish from 2 years ago still in the pens. And
wow.
Yeah, it just.
Now, why is that?
We always have a stock of fish just in case something happens, like the fish doesn't show up one year. We have enough fish to last us a year without fishing.
So smart.
So that way, if the fish just didn't show up one year, we wouldn't go bankrupt basically. So
yeah. And a lot of people are dependent on you guys,
there's a lot of families in Ensenada that rely on aqua farms for, taking care of the household. So, yeah.
And that's the beauty of you guys. Like you get to sell them when you decide it's right to sell them. I'm sure, if the market's low, well, then you just wait. And when then when the demand is right, well, then you can break a piece off. Like you get to decide when your fish go, because they're alive still.
Yeah.
You're not forced to this, with another fish, it's just that the clock starts ticking as soon as you catch it. For you guys, that clock's unlimited.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. We, like for the quota increase, we, weren't really for it. It's just, keeping that market strong with less fish and keeping that price up. And it's, it's the best quality fish in the world is what we have here. Both albacore and this North Pacific bluefin that we have, it's the best in the world.
That's
fat
right.
content wise and everything else.
Oh, yeah. Everybody wants it.
Yep.
Yeah. Including me.
Yeah.
It's all quality stuff. Another great text here from Eric in Menifee. He says, have you ever seen any predators trying to eat the tuna in the pens? Sharks, killer whales, etc.?
Sharks occasionally. They've had, I think, 1 or 2 white sharks get into the pens. This is years ago at the islands there. Yeah, occasionally we'll get a mako shark, in the net that's following the schools.
And what happens? They try and eat them?
They don't in the net. The sharks actually stay really calm in the net, and then we just, once we get the fish transferred, the sharks just still swimming on the surface. We just let the orsa, the end of the net, down in the water, and the shark swims out. And goes on his way.
Yeah.
So,
do the divers still jump in the pen with the shark?
Yeah.
No way. No way, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun.
But that's it. We don't see, too many predatory things on this bluefin. I haven't seen it at least.
Yeah.
So up north for albacore fishing, whenever we get orcas or pilot whales in the area, it completely shuts down.
Shuts everything down.
So we're as soon as you see those, you're like, oh, all right, well, let's go this
way. Got to go
now.
somewhere else.
Exactly.
How often do you see that?
A couple times a year.
Yeah.
We see orcas all the time inshore up there, and then we'll see them occasionally offshore. Then the pilot whales, you'll see them. It's cool. There's so much life up there in the Pacific Northwest. All the different whales feeding on the anchovies. You see a lot of sperm whales up there. And, it's really cool. All different types of porpoise, and it's pretty wild. We actually saw a booby bird up there last year.
Really?
No way.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's wild.
Well, it's a very prolific ocean. All the plankton, and it's just the cycle of life up there.
It's
just
amazing.
crazy. Is it mostly anchovy?
Mostly anchovy. Actually, the last few years we've seen a lot of herring offshore.
Herring?
Yeah, and so it sounds like this year the salmon guys are seeing an incredible amount of anchovy. That the anchovy, just like the sardine, it shifts up and down the coast like that. So we had kind of more herring in the last few years, and it looks like the anchovy is coming back. We prefer to have the anchovy around. For whatever reason, the fish acts better when it's on that. But we see the small Spanish mackerel fry they feed on, herring, some sardines, and anchovies.
That's cool, man.
Wow. So so you said when you're fishing up there in the fall, the weather's flat.
Yeah, a lot of times it gets.
That's crazy.
It gets really good. So we'll, we starting in like late September, we'll start getting some low pressures coming through, southerlies. But usually when they blow through, really nice weather. We always hope for that. Indian summer, you get a couple low pressures come through, and then it's nice and grease calm for a while. But definitely the weather off California gets a lot nicer when it starts cooling off late September.
Yeah.
In October, and then we kind of slide down. We can try and find some fish off California.
Is it about the weather or the body of fish?
Either or. There seems to always be fish off Northern California or Southern Oregon, but it's just such a tough place to fish because of the wind. So that's why we try and fish more up off Washington until it gets later in the year.
All right. Hey, when we come back, we got a lot more Let's Talk Hookup coming your way. More of these great texts, more great information. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, as well as that Let's Talk Hookup app. More Let's Talk Hookup coming your way. It's Southern California's sport fishing voice.
Many years ago, Baja pioneer Bob Van Wormer found the area he called the Great Fish Trap in the East Cape of southern Baja and built what is now regarded as the premier East Cape resorts of Palmas de Cortez and Playa del Sol. Today, following in their father's footsteps, Bob's sons, Bobby, Chucky, and Eddie, have taken Palmas de Cortez and Playa del Sol to new levels with the largest sport fishing fleet in Mexico, a luxurious spa, and top-of-the-line resort amenities. Van Wormer Resorts have become a destination for travelers worldwide. But for us, Palmas de Cortez and Playa del Sol are just a short 2-hour flight away. No other tropical fishing destination offers the experience and value that you'll find at Palmas de Cortez and Playa del Sol. Now you can plan your Baja fishing vacation quick and easy by visiting VanWormerResorts.com. And when you're ready to book, it's quick and easy. Or simply call 877-777-TUNA for more information. Van Wormer Resorts, the East Cape's finest.
Hey anglers, AFCO Pro Captain Ben Florentino of Coastal Charters here. As a full-time guide, I'm on the water all year long. It's my livelihood. Having the right clothing is of the utmost importance to staying warm, dry, cool, and comfortable to endure whatever the Pacific wants to throw at me. Thankfully, I'm equipped with AFCO clothing to keep me dialed season after season. Do yourself a favor and check out AFCO's award-winning gear at a dealer near you, or learn more at AFCO.com.
It's time to talk about great equipment from Shimano. And I got to tell you, Bluefin tuna, you heard Aaron, they're here, they're in abundance, and they're catching them. And there is one reel that is really the one to get, and that is the Shimano Talica.
I love it. I mean, I think back to when Bob Wolfson called and said, hey, I was fishing a sardine on 80 pound and I caught a 250 pound bluefin. And that's what Talica gives you, is a reel that is so strong that when you hook a fish that's probably a class or two bigger than what you should have had, you still are in the driver's seat. The amazing drag pressure, still being able to free spool and cast so good. There's nothing like a Shimano Talica.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Shimano Talica, the 20 and 25A are the latest and greatest, and they are amazing. Just check it out. Go to your local Shimano dealer and get a Talica. You will not be sorry. You will catch a lot of fish with it.
One rod has set the standard for serious saltwater anglers worldwide, and that's CalStar. From the rugged dependability of the West Coast series, the lightweight strength of the Graphiter, or the performance of the GG series, all CalStar rods are handmade right here in Southern California of the finest materials and craftsmanship. Check out the new CalStar models now available, as well as upgrades to the classic rods that you know and love.
If you want your tackle to be state-of-the-art tools to get the job done right, it's CalStar at Fine Tackle Dealers.
A top fleet and superb fishing is what Seaforth Sport Fishing in Mission Bay is all about. With free parking and fully stocked tackle shop, it's no wonder Seaforth Sport Fishing is a favorite among anglers. Come aboard top boats like the Aztec, Cortez, Endeavor, Apollo, Outer Limit, Elgato Dos, Pride, Tribute Pacifica, Pacific Voyager, and the Voyager. Plus, the new Seaforth, Sea-Watch, and San Diego offer the finest half and full day trips available. Seaforth Sport Fishing. For charters or regular open parties, schedule check seaforthlanding.com. Run by fishermen for fishermen in Mission Bay.
Welcome back. Let's Talk Hookup. Having a great time here this morning, talking fun, talking fishing. If you want to join us this morning, we would love to hear from you. There are so many great texts on our Let's Talk Hookup app. And, man, we want to keep it coming. Send us one our way. Lots of great texts coming through, and that's the only way you can get us here in that second hour. Make your text to the Let's Talk Hookup app, and also make sure you include that name and phone number in case you win those killer pair of coasters at the end of the show.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's go live down to the East Cape now, down to Smokies, and our good buddy Chris Moyer from the East Cape Smokehouse and the great charter boat Vaquera. Buenos dias, Chris.
How are we doing today?
Hey, doing
so
great,
good,
Chris.
buddy.
Good morning.
Buenos dias, guys. Well, I tell you what, we picked a good week to come back on. The fishing's been just absolutely going off down here. And typically, as you guys know, we typically get going right around the middle of May. But, man, since mid-April, we've been slaying the tuna down here. And yellowfin galore. So lots of tuna, and it's just been rolling. And right now it's limits. Every boat's catching limits. So you're going out. This last week was, between 20 and 30 miles, and which isn't too bad. And bringing in, a lot of 15, 20s. But I sent you some pics, Pedro.
Yeah, I saw them. Those are beasts, man.
Yeah, a few 60s the other day. We had a group of 13 firemen. We hooked them up on another boat through the Scorpion as well as the Vaquera, and they all went out and just had a blast. I've got a soft spot in my heart. All three of my boys are wildland firefighters. So anyway, they had a great time. And so, like I said, limits galore, but it's crazy because we're seeing, we see a lot of striped marlin. That's not unheard of. We're seeing a lot of striped marlin, but we're getting, several sailfish already, and as well as we got several blue marlin. We saw several landed and released this week, which is a little bit early, but also mixed in. We've had a nice little run of wahoo and good size too, 40, 45 pounds, and even some nice Dorado. Our Dorado year so far has been a little bit slow, whereas last couple of years it just kept right on going all year. But we saw some 30 and 40s come in this past week.
Sweet.
And yeah. So
is this early for the season, or is just kind of typical?
In terms of what, the Dorado?
If everything, tuna. It seems early for tuna.
Same with that
We
wahoo.
typically get going around mid-May, but I mean, like I said, we've been kind of rolling along for a month now. Now about 5 weeks. So the water temp right now is still 77 to 79 this past week. So it still hasn't heated up too much. As far as the bait, the tuna are biting on everything from sardines, little hoochies, cedar plugs, and some of those bigger ones you saw, Pedro, they caught on the kite on Vaquera the other day. So it's weird because I went out a few weeks ago and the tuna would not hit on any of the cedar plugs. They were hitting on little hoochies and sardinas. And then I talked to Diego with our fireman buddies, and he said they were pounding the cedar plugs. So it just depends on the mood, you got to figure out what they're going to be biting on. But the guys are just heading out, finding the porpoise, and they're everywhere between Puna Pescadero to the north, to Los Frailes to the south, which isn't a very big area, but head out 20 to 30 miles and find the porpoise, and there you go.
Wow. Well, great report. And of course, East Cape Smokehouse, things are biting at the restaurant, right?
Oh yeah. We it's kind of a different animal. That thing just rolls. But especially, right now we got basketball playoffs and hockey playoffs and even some good baseball games. So it's always rolling along. And because there's about a new restaurant opening up on every other corner, every other beach here in Los Rios, which is good and bad. But I mean, it's good that people have a lot of choices. But we just keep rolling along. You know, nothing's gonna really, I don't think, hurt us.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, if somebody wants the best charter boat in Baja, that's certainly Vaquera. Or you want to come and have the best food and, of course, your fish processing. How do we find you, Chris?
You can reach us at vaquerasportfishing.com. That's VAQUERA.com, sportfishing.com. And then, you know, Smokies, we're just right there on the corner. Everyone knows where we're at. And we'll see you on the docks at the various resorts you might be fishing on, whether it's the Van Wimmer resorts, Martin Verdugo's. We'll be on the docks every day, and we'll be handling your fish.
Great,
no problem, and we'll be here. We've been there 30 years. I think we'll continue.
Stick around. All right, sounds good. We need you there.
I'll tell you, Chris, it's so great to hear from you. I love hearing the reports. It's our favorite place in the world, and just know that the audience has been thinking about you a lot. I can't tell you the number of text messages that we see every week. Hey, where's Chris? Where's the Smokies report? We're into it. So the family loves you up here, buddy, and we're sure glad to hear you're back.
Yeah, welcome back, and we'll talk to you next Saturday.
Okay, guys, I'll look forward to it.
All right,
thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that very much. Speaking of fish reports, you just came back from a pretty epic experience in the freshwater, and you got to share with our listeners that experience.
We had the very best time. We typically go, Brandon and I, and the guys from the tackle store, we all go down to Mexico every year to go bass fishing, and the exact area that we like to fish, it just wasn't the right year. There's just the violence and stuff that's going around. It wasn't the right time for us to do that trip. So we were looking for something different, and literally having the conversation with Bill DePriest when he was in here talking about PCS show. And, when he's not doing that, they have an operation in northern Idaho called CDA Sport Fishing, and it's on Lake Coeur d'Alene, which is where the CDA comes from. Pete, it was spectacular. It's a smallmouth and largemouth fishery, and other things too. They got pike and all kinds of things in the lake, but it's in northern Idaho. I mean, you're just 100 miles from Canada, but it was easy, like direct flights from San Diego, and the fishing was it was off the charts. It was, you go
Probably
there.
If it's direct flight from San Diego, you easily get there from Orange County or LA.
Oh yeah, I mean, you get there anywhere. It was just such an
fly
easy
right into Spokane
process. Yeah,
half an hour from Spokane.
Yeah, it's in Idaho, but the Spokane airport is closer than anything else. So you fly into Spokane, Washington, and it's a 30-minute ride into Coeur d'Alene. And it was all smallmouth fishing. The scenery was just like big forest down to crystal clear water. It was very reminiscent of like a Southeast Alaska. And the smallmouth fishing was spectacular. I mean, I'll bet we had a 3 to 3.5 pound average. We had, 22.5 pound bags, 2 of our 3 days. In addition to the smallmouth, they got really good. It's northern strain largemouth, but we had a fish that was over 6. We had a couple over 5, which is a really big deal for northern strain largemouth. Florida strain is one thing, but to catch northerns that were that big and then an amazing scenery, but the smallmouth stole the show. I mean,
giant small
4s and 5s every day, catching them cool ways, swim bait and lead head and jerk baits and spinner baits. And it was spectacular.
And this is in Lake Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah, Coeur d'Alene in Idaho. And the people were just as cool as you could imagine. Everybody was super friendly, and the fishing was great. The guy that they have, Jess Potterington, he was just, I mean, I don't know what to say. The kid was unbelievable. Young guy at 24, fishes well above his years, just insanely professional, fantastic bass fisherman. I mean, I'm not a diehard, know everything in the world about bass fishing, and just you couldn't miss up there like that.
Wow.
Crazy good tackle. Like, I don't go anywhere and don't bring any gear. They provided everything. All the rods were high end, the gear, the tackle, and Jess just had us on fish the whole time. It was spectacular.
That's pretty cool. And so if somebody wants to go try that at the CDA Sport Fishing.
CDA Sport Fishing.
Does Bill have them have a booth at the show, or when at the PCS show?
Jess has become part of the show, so I doubt it. It's just the two of them. It's just Bill and Jess, and those guys handle all the fishing things, and so I don't know. I'm sure you could easily find out about it, at the PCS show.
Yeah.
And I'll look forward to it too. But I couldn't sing.
Or
their
call
praise.
you at the tackle show.
Yeah, I couldn't sing their praise enough. We weren't affiliated in any way. Bill was just telling us about a great trip, and we went, and I've Brandon and I have already like manipulated our schedule to figure out how to go back next year. It was spectacular.
Is it a particular time of the year, the spawning season or post spawn? It made it.
We were catching them in a post spawn area. Like even Jess was like concerned because they've had unseasonably nice weather. It was 80 degrees and bluebird for a couple of weeks before we got there. We slid into town and we had like frontal conditions. It was cold and it was kind of raining, kind of blowy, but didn't phase him at all. Kept us on the same grade of fish that they were catching in the better conditions. A lot of like casting a small lead head and swim bait, on lighter tackle. Plenty of fish on spinner baits and jerk baits. It was unbelievable. We became numb to the sight of a 3.5 pound smallmouth. I mean, you stopped taking pictures of it. You stopped thinking twice about it. Our last day, I think
smallmouth I've caught it like half pound, pound, something like that.
They
fight hard.
They pull so hard. And they all jump and they bulldog you the whole time. And we probably had 40 fish over 3.5 pounds our last day. It was crazy. Really, really good trip. Highly recommend. Something different. Really cool. Easy travel. Very inexpensive. Flights to Idaho are cheap. And just what a cool part of the country. People are rad. It was awesome.
That's cool.
Loved it.
All right, CDA Sport Fishing. Hey, great text here, but I'm going to read it. And normally wouldn't, but there's no name, no phone number, no city, so no prize for you. Aaron, do you do any sport boat fill-ins this year?
No, this year I used to do a little bit, but I haven't recently. But
can't imagine why. You don't have anything else going on.
You got nothing going.
It's like as soon as I got home from bluefin fishing, it's maintenance on the boats.
I'm sure you get a lot of demand. Everybody wants to run the boat. You to run the boat for them.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Renee. I'm still tight with him on the Shogun, and could happen.
I'll tell you one thing, and it was, praise did make it your way, but it was very well deserved, and I hope there was a lot of our fleet that really sang the praises of the help that you gave to get us started this season. I mean, when our boats, as you know from wearing that hat for so many years, the beginning of the year it's tough. There's just a lack of coverage and a lack of sign, but you had been on that fish for months and were a huge helping hand into getting our boats located and fishing and really getting the season kicked off. So
yeah, I mean, I want to see all of us successful, and it's like anything that, I put out the info and hopefully, it helps the guys out for sure. Aliar is always one of those guys out there early and love working with that guy. Aliar worked together a long time, many years ago. And so where
was that?
On the Legend first.
Oh, really?
Then on the Shogun. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think he was 17 or 18 when I first, worked with him. When I was around the Legend. So, no, it's great. I mean, they're all my buds still. And I just, if any info that I have, it'll help them out. It works out good. So
that's awesome. Well, it's cool that it's a big family and like everybody still works together and communication has changed so much over the years. In the old days, you hope to be within radio of somebody and you hope to catch them at just the right time. And
what a game changer that Starlink is.
Starlink. Now you take a pause from live streaming the Padres game to take a phone call to tell a buddy on some good fishing.
It used to take us 20 minutes to download a water picture. Now you do it in about 2 seconds. So.
Game changer.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is so many sport boat captains, former JJ, Pat Kavanaugh, are Albacore guys in your fleet, right?
Yeah. Johnny was up there. And it's just something about it. I mean, sport fishing is awesome. You get to do so many different types of fishing, especially on a long range boat, which was always fun to me. One day you're fishing a Cedros, the next day offshore and that kind of thing. But it's just, just the freedom of it, and you just go out. I mean, our first trip's 30 days long or something like that. And it's like, we don't know where they're at. You just go point the bow and start looking.
Wow.
That's cool. Well, hey, I had a fun text come through. It says, good morning, guys. In late 2015, I was fortunate enough to get to fish on the first trip back to Guadalupe Island on the Shogun with Captain Aaron at the helm. It was the most fantastic tuna and jumbo nighttime yellowtail fishing. I remember signing up within minutes of Frank's announcing that there was permits. I retired. That was the day after that I had retired. It was Dan in Mission Lakes. Thanks for the fun memories.
Awesome. Good deal.
Cool. And another great one here, another kudo for you too, from Brian and Rosalie. It says, hi guys, started fishing with Aaron on the Legend one summer. I took 7 trips and we caught albacore and bluefin. How are your partners in crime, Cole and Charlie?
They're doing good. And I'd like to say hi to them. And they were such amazing passengers I had for 20 years or something like that. Just great people. Cole's doing good. He's on the tugboats, doing that. He's got a little baby girl now, so he's doing good. And Charlie's cruising, just living kind of the bachelor life, surfing. And he worked for me for a little bit in Albacore, but now he's just hanging out at home and just just surfing and having a great time.
Yeah, living the life.
Living the life.
That's
Right,
cool.
you should, for sure.
This was a fun one. It says, "Hey, I really enjoyed hearing that occasionally you guys break off a fresh bluefin and probably a fresh albacore for the boat. My question is, what is the crew's favorite preparation when you're living on the boat and you're eating fish?"
Oh man, they do all sorts of different ways. They do actually really like the whole pokey thing, and it's different than you would have here in the States, but they love that. They cook it a bunch of different ways, but they really like that raw fish actually. Yep.
Yeah. And the crew is mostly Mexican crew?
Yes,
Yeah.
all Mexican crew.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they love their pokey.
Oh, they
And
do.
they love their
and
sashimi, huh?
ceviche. Yeah.
The ceviche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that too.
Yeah. Do you have a designated chef, or does everybody kind of take
Yeah,
turns?
we have a designated chef.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
and like a chef's assistant, especially on the Scenery, you're feeding 20-something people.
There's 20-something people on the
Yeah,
Scenery.
and actually we got a new chef this year, and he's actually the chef at the farm, where they
Oh,
harvest the fish. But
okay.
man, he is amazing.
Really?
Fresh pastries and everything. It was like it was
like having
awesome.
long
I'm
range
like,
boat.
you are not going anywhere. You're staying on this
stay
boat.
on my
Yeah,
boat.
exactly.
Yeah. So are you kind of overseeing the whole fleet, or are you just one part of all of that?
Yeah, just I'm just kind of like logistically, like where to put the pens. Sometimes we'll like leave a couple pens in an area, or whether we move the whole group, and it's just the logistics thing is the biggest part of it. So,
And how many guys are how many different boats when you're full speed rapping with planes and helicopters? How many different boats are on it?
So this year was only two. Yeah. So last year it was kind of wild. We had like 14 boats at one time because it was it's like a race just to catch them. So but this year we worked out a deal with the other company where we actually got paid to catch their fish.
Oh.
And we caught ourselves. They worked out the percentage of quota and stuff like that. So it was much more civil. Like last year you'd be working a school and another boat was running for one, go over your school. It was just like kind of mad. And then, that fish, once you have so many boats on it, it goes down. So now it's nice. I mean, we were most of the time fishing 10 miles apart, the two boats, on
Nice.
one side of the area and the other
that's
side.
cool.
And so it was nice, and you have time to work your school, and it was a lot more pleasant this year for sure. So I'm hoping it goes like that again next year, but we'll see.
When you see schools, you're typically staying in it. It stays in a general area, or is it pretty spread out?
In a general area, and it seems like a lot of times that fish likes to feed up current, so it seems like to pop up on an edge and then it'll breeze down swell, and so it kind of moves off like that. And we've been like 20 miles from the chopper, and he's circling the school the whole time. By the time we get there, that school's moving it. Usually they're moving at 3.5 to 4.5 knots, but you say over couple hours or hour and a half to get there, it's already moved 7-8 miles or something like that.
And what keeps that fish there? What why is the fish there?
Yeah, that's what the reason they're here is the food, and wherever those edges are that's holding that bait.
So when you say an edge, it's a water temperature
water
edge?
temperature break. Yeah, most of the time.
Not necessarily chlorophyll, but water temperature.
A lot of times those coincide, especially like closer to the beach. Yeah, you'll see both those. And so it's not necessarily like surface bait. You're seeing the deep bait. Usually daytime it's about 120 fathoms. So we're like looking, way down with the fathometer and looking for those areas of bait. You mark it out, and you'll see where you'll cut across an edge and it just vacant, like no bait, no nothing. And then you get back in there and you just kind of hang around that bait. And a lot of times we don't see any sign of fish until the afternoon.
Really?
Yeah. So we're just sitting
even
there.
big schools like that.
Yeah, and it's all down there feeding on that on that deep bait. And it does, the timing of the fish coming up and down does change. Seems like with the moon phases. Seems like during the new moon you'll see more fish up early in the morning, and then it comes back up. And then especially that full moon, you might see a little bit mid morning, and then it's like a good afternoon showing. It really seems like.
You talked about seeing fish on your sonar, and then does the sonar that you operate on this boat differ greatly from what you did when you were sport boat fishing, and how so? If
yeah, so we on the sport boats we have little searchlight sonars. We usually go out from 300 to 600 feet or something like that. So I have a Omni sonar on the Sonar. It's a 24-inch dome.
Oh my god!
Wow!
And what's the average size on a sport boat for somebody that's
6 to 8 inch? Yeah, mostly 8 inch. And The frequency is so low; it's 24 kilohertz, so you're not seeing scattered fish and stuff like that. We're running like
that's not what you're looking for.
We're not looking for that. So I'm usually searching at 800 meters. So half a mile we're picking schools off. On grease calm days when we had big schools, I actually found schools at 1,600 meters with that sonar.
Holy mackerel!
Yeah, it's wild, but it's like
Crazy.
at that range, a giant bait ball on a school of bluefin looks the same.
Sure,
because especially with that low frequency, so that's why you see, all right, there's a school, and you go but you can bring the range down, obviously down to 100 meters, and see some of that scattered fish. Eventually, I want to get
after.
No, but it is good to know that fish is there, because a lot of times where you see that little bit of scattered fish in the morning is where the schools are going to pop up in the afternoon.
Got it.
So eventually, I want to put 2 sonars on there, a searchlight sonar, which the higher frequency, you can also better tell the size of the fish.
Got it.
So.
Wow. And the Omni looks all directions all the time.
Yep. Yeah, you still tilts. It's not complete 360. You still use a tilt, but with that sonar, I'm usually at 0 degree tilt. So you're looking high. You want to see that fish that we can actually work. Yeah, I mean, obviously you can tilt it down, but it's good too with that for finding bait. You tilt it down, and it really shows you everything that's down there.
I can't believe that you commonly are looking 800 meters.
That's like
that is
typical range.
crazy.
Is 800 meters.
So when it comes to finding a bluefin tuna school, give one piece of advice to our listeners here.
Just keep your eyes open for any sign of life, So bait, birds, whales were really key, because those whales are down there feeding on the same bait as there. So that's,
And if you find the bait, stick around
and and see if you see even a little bit of fish in the morning when that bait's around, there's a pretty good chance you're going to see some schools in the afternoon.
Wow. All right. Well,
dude, we need another 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
There's no way. What a great time. When we come back, we got more Let's Talk Hookup coming right, including finding out who's got themselves a brand new pair of Costas. You stay tuned. It's Let's Talk Hookup, Southern California sport fishing voice on the Let's Talk Hookup app and Facebook and YouTube Live.
Hey, this is Rosie with Cedros Sport Fishing. We have always been the leader in fishing trips to Cedros Island. We have set the bar even higher with our second lodge opening for the 2022 season. Side-by-side lodges sitting on the cliff's edge with relaxing ocean views. With direct flights departing through the CBX in San Diego, we are committed to providing first-class service to our guests and an unforgettable fishing experience. Come check out the yellowtail and calico bass capital in the world. Nobody does it better than Cedros Sport Fishing. Call me at 619-772-7570 or check us out at cedrossportfishing.com.
The state-of-the-art long-range sport fishing vessel, the Independence, delivers the top quality, comfort, and fishability you look for in a long-range boat. Veteran captains Mark Bizzano and Paul Strasser built this incredible 112-foot vessel with the most modern technology and luxurious comfort available. Once you go on the Independence, you'll be back. Call Independence Sports Fishing at 619-226-6006 or check independencesportfishing.com.
Whether you're going fishing, diving, or just having fun on the water, there's nothing more worth doing than messing around in boats. So let me ask you, are you ready to upgrade your ride? Boat and Motor Mart of Oakland is your exclusive Western U.S. dealer for Steiger Craft. Created for inshore and offshore waters and laid out with the serious fisherman in mind, Steiger Craft has built a solid reputation for performance and excellent rough water handling. If adventure on the water is what you live for, now's the time to invest in your passion. Call Boat and Motor Mart of Oakland at 510-437-1444. To look at the whole fleet of Steiger Craft online, go to steigercraft.com. Now's the time for a rugged, reliable, and fast Steiger Craft from Boat and Motor Mart of Oakland.
Hey guys, this is Ali Husseini from Local Knowledge and BD Outdoors. I'm a lucky guy in so many ways, and one thing I'm really grateful for is my little brother, Yosef. Yosef is not only a fellow angler, but he's also an amazing realtor that specializes in helping us in the angling community find the ultimate home. If you own a home, get a free no-obligation evaluation online now by typing in SoCalHomeEval.com. That's SoCalHomeEval.com. All you do is put in your address and you'll get a home value report immediately sent to your email. No pressure, no obligations, just answers. Joseph is the SoCal real estate go-to guy. He's helped me and so many of my fellow fishing buddies find what they're looking for in a home. He knows anglers and he understands the real estate market. Not only that, but he's also a really nice guy. How many brothers can you say that about? Go to SoCalHomeeval.com and find out where you stand in the real estate market, and then get with Joseph and find your ultimate home. Again, go to SoCalHomeeval.com and we'll see you on the water.
It's Cellathon, and it's back at your San Diego County Ford dealers this Memorial Day for 5 days only. Get limited time deals on top of employee pricing. That's right, on top of employee pricing, featuring Ford's award-winning lineup of trucks and SUVs. Plus, your San Diego County Ford dealers are honoring all military, veterans, and first responders with offers going on now. It's your chance to save, whether it's gas, hybrid, or all electric. Visit your local dealership to find the perfect vehicle for you during Ford's Memorial Day Cellathon. It's only for a limited time. Exclusions apply. Visit your local San Diego County Ford dealer today.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup, man. What a great show. How on earth did 2 hours go by that fast?
Man. All right, time to flip the coin, Aaron.
Who's got themselves a brand new pair of Costas? We have a texter today. Congratulations, Brian and Rosalie. You have got yourself a brand new pair.
They're going to have to fight over them.
You've got yourself a brand new pair of Costas coming your way. How cool is that?
Yeah,
man?
Congratulations. And Aaron, great job. Thank you for taking your time to be here and talk to our listeners and stuff like that. Look forward to having you back. I hope after the season.
Yeah, sounds great.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
And good luck on the Albacore.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Super good information for our listeners here. We sure appreciate it very much. Yeah, it's a great show. And I want to thank everybody out there for all their texts, all their phone calls. And of course, it's great to have the fan on board. And tomorrow morning, we'll be back on the fan for the full 2 hours, 7 and 9 a.m. And then, of course, YouTube and Facebook Live will be there for full 2 hours. And then, of course, on our Let's Talk Hookup app the whole time. 7 and 9 a.m. tomorrow. Chris and Tony from CCA, California. We'll be talking CCA and lots of good stuff and all the good things out there. We'll get some great fish reports and all kinds of good stuff. So thanks for listening today. And thanks to Adam for all he does on the Let's Talk Hookup app. And, of course, George at Backbone Media for what he does. Appreciate that. And we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 and 9 a.m. right back here, YouTube, Facebook Live, Let's Talk Hookup app, and 97.3 The Fan.